It's me, Lazawal Tea or LT, whatever you want to call me, but I'm not a banana or a cat anymore. I'm a potato. And I'm back because it was so widely requested for me to talk about Lazawal Ishq and how it ended. And I wanted to do like kind of like a beginning to end. And the lives were so much fun. We had a lot of great time discussing things. And I loved having a co host. So I have a co host here today. She's Chirya. Of course, if you know, you know who
Mhm.
Chirya was from Lazawal Ishq. That's the same Chirya here today. Just kidding. But I did want to ask her to introduce herself. She's here as Bread. So I don't know if you want to
Yes.
call her Chirya or Bread. That's up to you. Or
Um,
her.
so basically, I have been a big fan, not really of the show, but of Lazawal Tea.
Oh.
So I'm here to hopefully have a lovely podcast with LT and before anybody says like get a life, blah blah, like no, this is pop culture and we're gonna respect it.
Yeah.
Period.
I don't yeah, I don't get it. It was a big show. And if we were talking about it throughout its while it was airing, I think it's a good time to finish up. And I didn't want to give those people, the cast, any attention because we all know what they were. We saw online, we saw on the show. But I feel like enough time has passed where, we haven't been giving them any attention. They're kind of dying out on their own. So it doesn't do them any good. Doesn't do them might do them some harm to do this. But we're here and Julia, I don't know if you wanted to, tell a little bit about yourself.
Mm-hmm. So I'm a piece of bread. Yeah. And बहुत सारे चिड़िया ने मुझे बताए हैं इस शो के बारे में. Um, so actually, it would be great to kind of, because you're in America and I'm in Hong Kong. So, like, how did you get to know about the show from like halfway across the world?
Yeah, so it's crazy. I'm a big Love Island fan. I'm actually a big reality TV show fan, but I love Love Island. And I think I was watching the last season of Love Island Games, and it
Hmm.
had finished, and then I didn't know what else to watch, and my husband was like, "Did you hear there's a Pakistani Love Island hosted by Ayesha Omar?" My husband hates Ayesha Omar, and he was like, he was one of those conservatives that wasn't a fan of like the idea, but I was like, wow, this is gonna be fun. Then of course I saw like the promotional stuff and I saw like memes already, the like who the hell you and um, what was it, poop on your face? That's what drew me in. And the rest, oh yeah, but then I started watching and I hated it and I was like, this is horrible. I hate this
Mm.
show, but I had to keep watching. There was something about the show. I was like, I have to keep going. And then the Jannat stuff happened, and I made my account just to air out my frustrations, and here we are.
Yeah, it was surprisingly like very broadcasted that there's a Pakistani Love Island because I'm in Hong Kong and then even Indians in Hong Kong were like, oh my God, you guys are having like a Pakistani Love Island. And when the first episode dropped, I was like, oh God, this is so boring. So I dropped it. But then the same thing as you, like I saw that poop on my face. Who the hell you? Who the hell he? Who the hell she? I was like, I gotta watch this just for the like the shits and the giggles. Um,
Exactly.
but the show is kind of interesting because it kind of feels like it came out of nowhere, and we don't really do we know who it's produced by, or like where, like what it, because there were so many rumors. They were like, it's not a dating show. It's this. Is it like what is the truth?
There's a lot of things that trigger people about this show, and a lot of things that happened after the show ended. And I think the number one thing that pisses people off the most is that the entire cast is so insistent on saying it's not a dating show. Okay,
Hmm.
then what the hell was it? It was just a shit show. I can agree that to an extent, yeah, they didn't really have it be a dating show. They were doing their own thing on there. But at the end of the day, it was supposed to be a dating show. You guys were just too. I don't know. I think there was a lot of cultural and societal pressure to not actually go on it as a dating show and just turn it into something else. Um,
Yes, I
insane.
agree. I agree. And I feel like I mean, Ishq is in the names, is in the show's name. It's kind of ridiculous to say that it's not a dating show. Like, who are you fooling over here?
I know. And then our beautiful subreddit, which is where a lot of us got to meet each other. The subreddit, someone posted on, I think it was like an official Lazawal Ishq website or something, where it literally says Pakistani dating show. Because some, I think one of the cast members went and posted some video, and she was like, किसी ने आपको बताया है कि ये dating show है? किसी production के, किसी cast member ने, किसी ने बताया? And it's like, here you go. Yes. So it's kind of insane that they're denying it because it was a dating show. You guys didn't do it the right way. Funnily enough, that person who said किसी ने आपको बताया ये dating show is, she's the one who gave us the most like epic romantic montages of being of a, like dating her partner. So
Performance, performance.
her performance. We'll get into it.
Okay, so for the people who don't really know the show too well, but they want to know the what the phenomenon is behind it. So basically, it's a show called Lazawal Ishq, and it's apparently produced by some Turkish production company, and for some reason they chose Pakistan as one of their countries to um like to cater to, and it's in a all of these people are in a villa in Turkey. It's a very nice villa. And so, well, from what I believe to be the format is basically they're supposed to be people, everyone is supposed to be in a couple and they play games and they're supposed to like further their bond like across 45 days in the house. And the end goal is supposed to win like I think 30,000 USD as a couple. So
Mhm.
that's like a little bit of a background on the show for people who don't know. And the show actually got banned pretty early on in Pakistan. So what do you think about that?
I think it's funny that okay, I don't think it's funny that the show was banned. I think it should be allowed to be aired, especially because
Hmm.
they weren't doing anything wrong. At least that what we can see. Allegedly, there were things going on behind the scenes, but from what we can see, there's nothing on the show that's that much different than Tamasha. It's a poorly produced show too to go through all the effort to get it banned. I don't know if it's worth it. And then in terms of like the cast and what they had to say, again, a certain individual, a certain girly pants came on and said it was production saving us, and they willingly removed it from Pakistan, and that this is an international show. This is an international platform. And I wanted to touch on that really quickly because a lot of the cast were saying it's an international show. Maybe it's filmed in Turkey, maybe it's filmed by a Turkish production house. That doesn't make it an international platform. The show is literally in Urdu. There's no subtitles. Who the
Hmm.
hell is watching it aside from Pakistanis and some Indians?
I don't know if you saw this, but I saw it on Reddit, but the producers uploaded one of the last few episodes in Latin. So
Really?
whoever, well, it was either Latin or Spanish, like they just gave up. They were like, fuck English, fuck Urdu, like
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. You know what? We got to put this out there just to make sure that it's an international show.
hmm. I mean it
Like
is
that girl who said it, she was like, it's an international house, production house. She was like, I have to congratulate Ayesha Omar that she got an international project in her profile. And it's like, it's a really crappy reality TV show that I'm pretty sure Ayesha Omar is ashamed of. She wants it removed from her profile, okay?
yeah,
But she can go off screen.
she was like, I signed up for a free holiday, not this, not
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Um, honestly, I totally like on one hand, if there were subtitles in the show, perhaps more people could have watched it and more opinions could have been, distributed. Because I feel like the opinions right now are very Pakistani centric. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There isn't like an even amount of like how do I say it? You just don't have diversity in the opinions that we're having about the show. A lot of it is very cultural and religious. And sometimes like with dating is w those two things cannot be very relatable. So it is
Mhm.
disappointing that we didn't have subtitles and a wider audience could not watch the show.
Yeah. And just to touch on it for a second, because you bring up a great point. When I had initially learned about Lazawal Ishq and I said that it was the memes, the one meme that I saw, it was like an American dude. He was like some black guy. He was like, um, Pakistani Love Island, what the hell is going on over here? Who the hell are you?
No,
I don't know
I
if you saw
saw
that.
on Twitter, yes.
Imagine, imagine if that guy was able to actually watch the show with subtitles. He could have
Mm,
talked about it. If they wanted to make it an international TV show, reality TV show, they probably could have done it with subtitles. But also
mm,
it's really hard to watch the show, especially the beginning episodes. It's I always say there's a learning curve to watching the show. 'Cause you don't know what's going on. You have to pay attention. Like I would put it on while I'm folding laundry, but it was not one of those shows. Like I had to give it my undivided attention and also be able to skip through it, then kind of go back a little bit. Did I miss something? And everything's super confusing. The fights that they had, most of us know the
mm.
fights and everything was off camera, and then we'd
Oh my
kind of get the
God.
remnants of it on camera. So it's
Yeah,
super
the
confusing
editing.
to watch.
The
Very
editing
terrible.
we'll get to later. Don't worry,
Yeah,
we'll shit on the editing later. So,
yeah.
like there were a lot of rumors about the cast before the show even aired. Number one being Mr. Peepaw. बहुत सारी चिड़िया बातें कर रही थी before the show even started.
Yeah, chirp, chirp, chirp. Yeah, I know.
So, there were
There's a
rumors
lot.
about marriage,
Mhm.
children,
हो अब इतना नहीं करो
age.
क्या
25 साल
Like,
का नहीं हूं मैं, 40 साल का हूँ, घुस पे
हाँ
फट
I
जाऊंगा मैं।
mean, why?
Everything. Everything.
Everything.
A lot of it was also done by production. Like I'm forgetting who, I don't know who it was. One of the cast members. I think it's the same girl that we've been mentioning. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she's the one who said that. I don't know if it was her or somebody else, but somebody came on and said Ayesha Omar had specifically told them to lie about what they do, what their jobs are. So they're all actors and actresses and models, and I think only two people on the show. Oh, it's just Shiraz and Laiba. I think they're the only ones who didn't have some type of like profession in the industry. They have jobs outside of it. So it was that's kind of like an alarming thing from the get that they're just it's completely like lies, 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 fake.
Mm,
But I don't know.
yeah, because of the fact that there were so many rumors and lies happening before the show, I feel like that disputed the credibility even more. And production really, really did not care about how this would actually affect the cast members. They threw them in the deep end, and there has been no type of, I mean, maybe we'll talk about this later, but no type of response from production. It's kind of like, sorry, my mom is making suhoor sari. Oh, I forgot which one.
Oh,
Um, no type of accountability from production, and it's a bit alarming. Like, is this how you treat the people on your show? You're just gonna let them be criticized? Oh my God, I'm so sorry, guys. That's so loud, but
I don't hear it actually.
oh,
I
okay,
don't hear
okay.
anything. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, but I think you bring up a great point that, and I think a lot of people don't talk about this enough. We kind of shit on the cast a lot, but there wasn't proper representation for them. I don't know if you want to get into it right now, but one of the controversies around the show was one of the translators that was Pakistani that did vouch for them.
Oh,
That
we'll
was
talk about
also,
that later.
yeah.
Later.
I
Don't
mean,
worry.
but the thing, at the end of the day, yeah, production, they didn't help. They didn't make it
Hmm.
easier, better for the cast, and they didn't guide them. You kind of look at production as they are this like there's this presence that's hovering, but you are not supposed as a viewer, you're not supposed to be able to know that they're around. You're not supposed to even be able to see cameramen and stuff like that. There are those type of cameramen on Love Island too. I know they have cameras everywhere, but they also have like a person there too sometimes to film certain things
Hmm.
like them
Right.
walking in, like the host walking in, she's like going like this, like she's doing her thing, and there's actually someone recording her there, but do we ever see that person? No. So it was just like a poorly produced and edited show. And as much as I hate the cast, I kind of hate production more.
I agree. We'll definitely talk more about that. So another thing that was kind of a big deal before the show started was people going on and on about it's Western propaganda, Western propaganda. जब show देख लिया तो पूरा सास बहू ड्रामा था. I don't think it was Western propaganda, sorry to
It
say,
wasn't.
from
It
my
wasn't
point of
Western.
view.
No, it wasn't Western propaganda. If this was being produced in the U.S., I might agree. But because this is strictly like this is a Turkish production, which I've heard things here and there about how I heard from some a journalist that I'm friends with, and she worked on Turkish productions, and she said they're terribly unprofessional and they're not very good at at their thing.
Oh.
And then Pakistanis, we know how they are. So there's no way. And I was interested to see how they were gonna do dating and stuff, but because they just literally the first several episodes was about fighting about food, which
Mm,
again that falls on production, but they were fighting about food. There's no Western propaganda over here. This is just a this is honestly a group of people who were just doing whatever they wanted, and there were just people filming there very
yeah.
terribly, poorly. Also, I don't know if we wanted to bring it up now, but the fact that they didn't have cameras all over the place and they weren't
Mm,
being filmed 24/7, that's the
mm,
biggest fatal flaw in this show. They needed to be to
yeah.
make this like an effective show, it needed to be filmed 24 hours.
Mm. And there were a lot of rumors about what they were doing off camera, but since we don't have any like concrete proof of that,
No.
we're not gonna, you know, talk about
Yeah,
that.
we don't need to get into it. Everybody's heard things randomly. The other thing
Mm,
about the cast is you can message them on Instagram yourself and they'll tell you all the stuff. But,
exactly.
it's hard. Everyone has their own versions of things.
Yeah.
And a lot of it played out on social media. I mean, through the Lazawal Tea account, and it went crazy. Most of the cast has blocked the Lazawal Tea account, which I don't know if we should get into that account and what happened to it, but we could do that at the end. But
hmm
that was a
Um,
second part of the show, the online
yeah,
stuff.
I agree. It's definitely it comes under the category of what happened after.
Mhm.
So actually we've been talking a lot about production, but now we can get into the cast themselves. So what was happening during the show? So we have the lies, the misogyny, the bullying, the colorism, the classism, the sexism, and all the other isms.
The other isms, damn, it's a never-ending list.
Never
Oh,
ending, 100% never ending. Okay, where should
insane.
we start? Where should
The
we
Lion
start?
Game, the ages, the marital status, the vetting, how the vetting of the cast was so terrible. We did kind of touch about this.
Earlier, yeah.
Yeah, that they lied about everything,
Mm,
which is the telltale sign that everyone kind of figured out pretty early on that this show is scripted.
mm.
This is the age old question: was the show scripted or not? We can get into it, but
They also just didn't form genuine bonds with the audience because of the fact that they lied. And also, all of them basically knew each other off the show. So
they
what
did.
was the point of that?
hmm It was
There,
I don't know, I don't. And later, some of the cast actually admits to knowing each other. You have like Maaz and Hamza Gul, very early on. In the beginning, they pretended they didn't know each other, but then they did admit
mm,
it. Hamza Gul later admits that he did know Maimuna. Uh, this all kind of plays out. But one thing that I find extremely suspicious is that the OG cast didn't admit that they knew each other,
mm,
aside from Maz, But like Hamza and Aruj, they did know each other. They worked with each other, and I don't know if
mm,
they were together or not. But the fact that you knew each other, you might have. They actually already everybody met prior to the show filming. They either met at the airport or they met before
mm,
they started filming. So you got to see everybody and you had in your mind, okay, I'm going to partner with this person or that person. And I
Mm,
think with Hamza and Aruj, it's kind of unfair to everybody else because you kind of know each other already and you basically have in your mind that allegedly we're going to try to win this game. And they made it to the end, you know. They were one of the finalists.
they're gonna perform together.
Exactly. Some people
Um,
admitted that they performed, and then, I feel like Hamza and Aruj are kind of side eyeing them a little bit, that they never properly addressed the fact that they knew each other. And I think, like,
mm,
here and there people mentioned it. I think Maaz at one point mentioned it. Que in dono ka, they know each other. Iनका पता नहीं है, पहले से ही जानते हैं एक दूसरे को, but it didn't really properly get explained. I don't think any of the lies that they said got explained. With
mm,
Shiraz and him being a divorced dad of two with lying about his age, none of those things were like addressed meaningfully. They were just like
yeah.
thrown out there, like, yeah, do bachche ka bapu, okay, all right. And
Wow.
imagine if someone who's just watching the show, who isn't online, and they don't know, and then they're like, what the hell? Shiraz has kids? Like, it's kind of
Mm,
insane. There's no like real. It would have been nice to see if this was an actual properly produced show. We would have been able to see the conversation between him and Batul where he tells her that he has kids and her
yes.
reaction to it. We
Yes.
didn't get to see that.
I think honestly, like production went to maybe like one or two agencies in Pakistan, and they were like, "We're gonna do this show. It might be controversial, so just get anyone who is willing to be on the show to be on the show." So that's why they didn't give an F. Because even when the cast were saying like how they were doing their interviews, the interviews were pretty simple. Like, "Are you married? No. Okay, good. You get
Yeah,
to go to Turkey." So clearly production did not care. Production, honestly, they probably vilified Pakistanis. Production
yeah.
hates Pakistanis. That's why this show is so shit. This
You know
production
what?
hates Pakistanis. This
Yeah,
this is the real
yeah.
agenda to make people hate Pakistanis. That's
I
the real
think so
agenda.
too. I think
That's the
so
real agenda.
too.
Yes.
And you know what? I
Yes.
never got a chance to like talk about this on my Lazawal Tea account, but I definitely feel like there's like some there's like some racist like vibes or like
Mm,
microaggressions that I can feel
yes.
just from the way like certain people talked about how they weren't being properly advocated for, and then there's one specific girl who I'm just gonna say it, she's got white privilege, okay, and
Mm,
she's pretty privileged, and that took her far, and she still has a good relationship with production to this day, whereas the others don't have that.
mm,
What is the common denominator here? It's just in from what I can see, I just feel like there's, allegedly, I keep saying allegedly, but there's just my opinion, what I could see.
I agree.
There
I
was there
100%
was
agree.
it's unfortunate,
I
and it's like,
agree.
the show was made in other countries too, like in Iran, and there was an Arabic version, and I don't know what else. There's other versions of it out there, but all those people are kind of more or less fair skinned, and I don't know if they had the same experience. We don't know.
Mm. Yeah, and then I just kind of feel like there's so much negativity arose amongst us as a society because of this show. And it's sad.
It
Okay,
is.
okay, yes, fine. There were a lot of things that they needed to be held accountable for, but like even after the show, people saying like, "Why do you care? Get a life." Like, why just don't be negative. Like support your people in what they do.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's I guess like the most negativity that I had seen was mostly from the subreddit, and it's been in the last couple of like the last week and then till now to this point, which I
Mm,
feel like most people that are done with the show, they're done with the show. They turn their laptop off, they're done. They're not
Mm,
going to come on the subreddit anymore. They have no reason to. Then it's only like those negative Nancy's. It's either negative Nancy's or bitter cast members that are going there and being extremely awful. And like,
mm,
it doesn't matter. Like, the second you post like any type of positive comment, if it has to do with Lazawal Tea, especially if you post a positive comment, you will be downvoted instantly, and
yeah.
it's it's kind of a reflection of us as a society.
Yeah, let's try to change that, guys. Let's be supportive, let's uplift. Because like, YouTubers like Ducky Bite, personally, मैंने कभी उसको नहीं देखा. I don't really know what his vibe is, what his YouTube channel is about. However, I do know he is always in a lot of controversy and he's a very negative person. But people like that are super hyped up. लेकिन ऐसा तो नहीं होना चाहिए. We should support, people spreading positivity. So I just think that sometimes our society needs to do better and be
They
more,
do.
collaborative.
But to touch on that again, a lot of people think that I'm super negative too, and I say things like bully the bullies. But if you look at the thing that I'm talking about, it's literally like extremely big issues.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like being just talking about random subjects on the subreddit. It's like literally talking about stuff about like single mothers. It's talking about
Mm,
children in weird videos being used. It's talking about sub tough subjects like racism. And I think for
mm,
stuff like that, I don't know. I truly believe that bully the bullies. And I know that's super negative, but I think that they deserve it at that point, especially because you're being called out on something repeatedly and you're
mm-hmm.
not admitting how it's wrong, and you're just doubling down and saying like it's okay. मुझे उसमें कुछ बुरा नहीं लगा. आपको
Um,
लग रहा है आपको लगे लेकिन मुझे उसमें कोई I don't see anything wrong with it. But at that point, like, you deserve to be called out to the full extent.
right. And that does kind of relate to our topic of, you know, the mean girls and bully gangs, the misogyny. So let's start off by the bullying of contestants. So it starts from Jannat with the colorism, Laiba being called boy crazy, Fatima with the age. Um,
There's
like,
just so many instances. I
yeah,
think the first thing that we can talk about is, should we talk about, okay, which one was it first? Was it Shiraz with Batul, or should we bring up Jannat? Because Jannat was a hot
Jannat was
topic.
first. Jannat was first.
So, okay, here's the thing. Do you think that Jannat was antagonizing Tuba and Maaz the way that they claim?
To be very honest, I didn't watch the show, especially the first 10 episodes in extreme depth. But
Mhm.
based off of what I saw, was that she's loud, but then if we look at Jannat's history, she lives alone, she has to take care of herself, and she may have a very traumatic past because, living as a girl alone in Pakistan is not an easy thing to do. And I saw Tuba in the background always like saying stuff to Maaz. ये हो रहा
Yeah,
है, ये हो रहा है. She complained all the damn time. And
all the
Mas, every single time he argued with Jannat, he went straight up to her face. And that is unacceptable. Whatever Jannat did off camera, I don't know. I can't comment on that. But what I
time.
saw on camera was this man being all up in her face.
Exactly. And here's the thing, like, maybe Jannat is doing stuff behind the scenes, but yeah, exactly like you said, we can't comment on that. We can only comment on what we're seeing, and what we saw was vile and abhorrent. And in terms of Jannat being loud, I think the reason why people had a problem with it was just because of misogyny. At the end of the day, when you see a loud woman and you have all these men saying she's batami, she's this, she's that, this just a means to silence her. She wasn't ever saying anything wrong, and I think that she did, for the most part, she did explain her thought process very well about anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless she was being viciously viciously attacked by somebody like Shiraz, who is very
Hmm.
good at gaslighting you, who's an expert manipulator. And at that point, you're just stuck. And I saw Shiraz do this to many women on the show, including his partner. But he would do this to a lot of, he did it to Lab, he did it to everybody, where he manipulates, and he's done it to me. Okay, so he did it to me, and for a moment I was like thinking I'm going crazy, but that's
Mm,
just him. He is very smart. Okay, he knows how to think very quickly, and anytime, like, he will find an insane path to make it to his point, and he'll make it there to make you feel like you're going crazy. And he did that with Jannat. But Jannat, there's nothing ever wrong with her or what she said. And if she's being loud, who was she loud with? I can remember she was loud with Junaid.
Ma,
He was loud.
Maz,
Maaz, he was loud back with her. Shiraz, he
Asher.
was insanely loud with her. Ashir was Ashir was rude too. I mean, they were all rude, but suddenly that's okay. But
Yeah.
Jannat being loud and defending herself when she's isolated and alone every single time, when she's repeatedly attacked, that's not fair, right? That's suddenly wrong. Like, if it were me in there, I know that a I would have meltdowns, and she did. She had, and it goes back to production again, where they failed to keep her safe. If someone's
Yeah.
hurting themselves, you need to remove that person. You don't make them sit through days and days of being harassed and bullied, and then finally she's humiliated and eliminated. I'm not saying that she should have been humiliated. I'm just saying the act of everyone voting against you, it can feel degrading. And you're dealing with someone who's already hurt, and you're literally degrading them and making them go through elimination. Because if they willingly left, which Aisha Omar said this one time, she commented on someone's post on Instagram, and she said these contestants were free to leave whenever they wanted. But you're not free to leave, are you? Right? Because if you
Mm,
leave, you're breaching contract and you have to pay for that. You're going to be penalized. So she's not free to
mm,
leave. She has to sit through it. And in the end, she got
वो जब मैं say
eliminated.
sorry to her,
And they
जन्नत
continue to
बोले
still
क्या
talk about her
ये जन्नत
for
ने
mm.
कहा जन्नत बोले क्या
I remember
जन्नत
at one point it was like 15
जन्नत क्या
episodes later, Maaz Tuba still talking and arguing about her.
जन्नत
It was insane.
Yeah. And
जन्नत जन्नत जन्नत
this
जन्नत
is
जन्नत जन्नत क्या बोली
something I do see with a lot of Pakistani men. Sorry if I'm generalizing. मुझे पता है अच्छा आदमी भी होता है, बुरे आदमी भी होता है. So guys, just bear with me when I generalize. Um, they do have this thing where they want a woman to be very feminine, soft-spoken, submissive. They don't like women, based off of what someone has told me, barking at them. They don't like a woman to be a man. And, you know, from what I saw Jannat as a girl fighting in the lion's den.
Yeah.
She was always standing up for herself. Nobody was there. Nobody was like, dude, don't get in her face. Don't do that. Don't do like nobody did that. So for me, I just believe that Jannat was sticking up for herself. I'm sure she had her moments of what she did wrong, but in the grand scheme of things, you cannot be like poking and trying to push this girl and getting in her face. Like that's just not acceptable. Like, okay, if she's not good, you be the better person, you be the better man. Sorry, my tongue is getting twisted. But yeah, it's
Crazy.
disappointed. And then the second thing is this part doesn't get talked about too much on the show after it did is the colorism. Like
Mhm.
there were only two people on that show that I would consider white. Everyone else was not white. Yet most of them made very disgusting comments about skin color. ये dusky है, ये थोड़ा, like dark है. Like, what in the world?
When it comes to Tuba, it's like if she literally didn't do this, I would never have had this much of an issue with her. And she ended up being on my massive shit list because of this and only this. Her being problematic or harassing Maz was okay. It's wrong, but it's funny to me. Like, right? She's funny to me. I don't think
Mm,
her intention is to be that way. But the thing is, there's a line, and she crossed
mm,
it. You know,
She
you
did.
can't just keep laughing about her, which at first I didn't even laugh about her. I actually felt bad for her and did feel like she was being targeted. It wasn't until her podcast came out, the very first one, which I couldn't sit through that. So annoying.
Mm,
She had a very different personality. And then towards the end of the show, it was like the way she presented herself as being an introvert and all those things, it was kind of it's over.
mm,
She fully exposed like her actual like nature. And her whole situation with Jannat, I mean, that was the reason why I made this account. And if you go to my TikTok account, you can see the very first thing is that I'm calling her out for lying on a podcast where she said, "Maine kisi ko gaadi nahi di, maine kisi ko kuch nahi bola." But her fight, which that fight, the jacket fight, was a crazy fight.
yeah.
I mean, that one you can just tell like that is not Tuba. That's not the Tuba we've seen, right? We saw her
Mm,
fight a little bit with Batul like a couple episodes before that, but she wasn't that bad. You know, Batul was the one that was like really like the strong person in that fight. You know, she was the one being loud. Tuba, you couldn't hear her as much. And then Tuba apologized for everything that went down. But what happened with the jacket, so they had finished filming. This is what happened. They wrapped up filming for that day and they were having their dinner and Jannat was wearing the jacket and Tuba didn't like it. She got upset. She didn't think that this was going to be filmed. They weren't mic'd up. You know, you see her and Maaz going at it. They're fighting outside. People are trying to stop them. Then she runs inside. She starts cussing out Jannat. Jannat says some stuff back, and Tuba's face is like completely different. We've never seen this
mm,
before, but that was her reality, and she truly, fully believed that none of this would ever be aired, and that was the downfall of Tuba. That was really what solidified it for everybody because everybody felt bad for her, even with the Badul fight. Like I remember on the subreddit, I was happy that Tuba was being dragged, and people were like, "Nah, Badul took it too far. Like she's being classist and she's being awful." But that's Tuba's downfall was that fight with Jannat. If she didn't do that, if they didn't air that, people probably wouldn't have come at her so hard. I think that to go back to your point, Jannat's comments about the skin color was always going to come out. You know, there
mm.
was no stopping that because that is who Tuba is inherently as a person. That's that like hatred. That's a part of her. And I don't know. You know, we don't know where it came from. We don't know what brought her to that point. Maybe she has some lore and backstory that we don't. I'm super interested to know about Dula, but I don't know anything about the girl. But her hatred and her colorist ideas, that's just a part of her. And her hatred for Jannat, you know, she kept saying, her and Maz kept saying, keep watching, things get exposed. But, you know, Jannat was eliminated, the show finished, everything happened, and I never understood Tuba at any point that what caused her to have such a visceral reaction to Jannat.
Mm. I agree. I
Besides
feel like
jealousy, but obscure jealousy. I did never understood that either because Maz hated Jannat. But if she just if Maz just mentioned Jannat's name, that would have been enough to set her going. And that's what happened on Instagram. You know, people would mention Jannat and she hated Jannat and even though Jannat never talked about her, to this day has never said anything about her, she just couldn't take it and she had to go low the only way she knew how. The only thing she could attack Jannat for.
yeah, and it is very sad that Tuba had such a strong reaction over a jacket. Like,
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's literally just a jacket. They're all sharing
mm,
clothes there.
it's pretty sad, but we could talk about this all day, right? Like, honestly, it's such an endless
it,
topic.
it really is.
Um, what about Liba constantly being called boy crazy?
So I didn't understand any of this, and I know at the end of the show she was super clingy to the point where Like we all know I'm a big advocate for Liba, but it was a hard watch. I
Mm,
stopped watching the show at the end, so I didn't get a full picture, but I did see clips of her through other content creators that were talking about the show, and it was extremely difficult to see Liba being that level of clingy to Omer. But and to call her boy crazy is completely incorrect, right? Because what, she switched partners? I mean, if you look at the track record, what did she start off with? Who, Fahad? Fahad
mm-hmm,
was married in real life, and she's the one who ended that relationship because he wrote what? He wrote Tuba a poem or something. So she ended that. That was her. If she was truly boy crazy, then she would have been crazy for Fahad. She wasn't. She tried it with Jannat. It didn't work out. He didn't want to do it. Probably for the best. He's a lot. He's older than Shiraz, by the way.
oh
That's like a
wow.
really, that's probably why Janaid wasn't comfortable because she was way too young for him. Um, he said no, and she healthily moved on from that. Okay, she really
Mm,
liked Janaid, but she was like, okay, like that's fine. She moved on. She was alone. If she was truly boy crazy, she would have been clinging to Janaid, right?
mm,
Mir Hamza came along. He gave her mixed signals. People blew the situation out of proportion for what it was. Stuff happened to her and that, and she moved on from it. I think for Mir Hamza, yeah, it was difficult for her to move on. And when he was moving on with Mabuna, in the beginning, Liba was kind of like rolling her eyes
उसे
a
खुशी
lot
के
and
लिए
making
क्योंकि उसी
faces,
खुशी से
which a
आपको
lot of
खुशी मिल
people
रही
talked
होती है
about that they didn't like
ऑब्वियसली
that about
मैं
Liba.
पहली मैं
But the only person that she was boy crazy for was Umair. So is
mm,
she really boy crazy, or is she just like super into her partner to a next level and extremely affectionate and oblivious to the signs that he's showing that he's clearly not interested in her? I think her biggest crime is being oblivious.
mm.
Like
Yeah,
just
and
have more self-awareness. That's it.
yeah, and I think on the show they were excusing her a lot. They yelled at Mir Hamza for leading her on. But she's 24 and I'm 24 too. And like you just can't use your age to be that stupid. And I think
Yeah.
Liva is very sweet, very adorable, but I'm not really gonna talk about her previous relationship because to be very honest, I don't really know what exactly happened. I have the memory of a goldfish. But with Omer, I did see those few instances where he flinched and he like looked at her like
Yeah.
oh don't touch me, it was such like
Sorry.
I no, it's okay. I actually thought he was gonna hit her. And
Yeah.
those are the moments where I do wish she would kind of grow up because it's about your safety at that
Yeah.
point. And being called boy crazy on a dating show is a bit ridiculous. Like that's
Yeah.
just like you don't see the irony here, folks. So yeah, I think Liba, she did need to be more mature, but there was
Definitely.
nothing wrong with her jumping from guy to guy. I do
Yeah.
feel like she should have been more careful with Omer, but
Hmm.
like, ugh, I didn't really like him either. He was so weird. It was so weird.
That guy, okay, the downfall of Amer was a very big disappointment for me because I actually really liked him in the beginning. I
Hmm.
thought he was level-headed and chill. Because that's what he was until we really got to know him, and then that guy's a hot mess.
I mean, to be honest, it's like what I've noticed is that whenever any new person comes into the house, everybody thinks that they're gonna be the saving grace and they're gonna, be level-headed. Like we thought that with Iman, we thought that with Tabassum, we thought that with Omer, but no, like, because it's a
No.
house with cliques. If
Yeah.
they don't join the clique, they're gonna go home, and they
Yeah.
don't want to go home, and that's what it
Yeah, that's
is.
it. That is exactly what it is. And I think with the mayor, I don't think he really was that bad even on the show. Like, he did defend Liba and he told her, you got to speak up for yourself when it came to Tuba and stuff. But in the case of Iman, that is exactly what happened. What you're saying, she had to
Mm,
join the the group. She had to join the majority or she was gonna drown. And there was a lot of things that went wrong with Iman. I didn't think finishing the show when the show finished, I didn't think Iman was that bad. And my final rankings, which I never got to share, my final rankings, I have it time stamped from when I did it. And I ranked her number one in my girls.
Mhm.
And then she was the only person that when my account, when I had to, a lot of things happened with my account, but basically when I left, she's the one who was being like super obnoxious about me being gone. And it's like, well, girl, I'm not dead. I can still drag you from a new account. Okay. The fact that I'm not is me being nice. But with Iman, she just didn't like me calling her out on that. That
Mm,
because like
I
everything she
agree.
was saying about Memuna was completely wrong. The things that she said about Fatma. A lot of people, a lot of random people entered my DMs, and allegedly Fatma had done a lot of horrible things to Iman, allegedly, and people had entered my DM saying that, she's spreading, Fatma is using other people and she's spreading all these rumors about Iman. Listen, no one came in my DMs to spread anything bad about Iman. Okay, not Fatma, none of Fatma's friends. And then Iman also said it to me too that Fatma's spreading all this stuff about me, but I never witnessed that. I don't know. Did you ever see anything about Iman? Any personal information come out about Iman? I saw some stuff about her being bullied or something in school, but again, nothing was definitive with that. Nothing came out that would lead me to think that this came from Fatma.
I
So it
mean,
was just
people on
obscure.
Reddit, they were saying that Iman has sugar daddies.
Oh well, that
Well, they said
yes.
that about a bunch of
You,
them.
you know what? But I can tell you, I heard that information too. All right, and I
Mm,
directly heard it from another cast member that was not Fatma. Okay,
mm,
I directly asked Fatma. I was like, someone said and such has the sugar daddies. You say said that you don't have one, and such doesn't have one. Is this true? She said no comment. No, she never said that Iman had a sugar daddy. She put out a random story that was like, should I start talking about who has sugar daddies? But it didn't get like that shit. I think she was talking about other people. She never
mm.
clarified. Fatma, do you want to say anything about it? We don't know. I know I allegedly who has a sugar daddy, who has sugar daddies, and
Mm.
that information didn't come from Fatma.
Well, whilst we're on the topic of Fatima, she faced a lot of age discrimination, and it was very difficult to see because it was yet again. Because, okay, yes, I know Fatima, she did some horrible stuff. She was also part of the bully gang against Jannat, 100%, 100%, 100%. No denying that. But
Yeah,
for like the whole house to
no,
attack her and her
it was
partner
wrong.
being useless as like I hated how people were gassing up Hamza Gold like
That was me.
he did something, yeah, you too, like
Mhm.
girl, what were you doing, like gassing up like about him doing the bare minimum. The dude did the bare minimum and he sat
Yeah,
his ass down on that same freaking pink couch and did
yeah.
nothing. And I hated all you guys for gassing him up. No, that's not right.
See,
No,
yeah.
sorry to say, sorry
Go
to say.
ahead. Yeah, finish what you needed to say. Then I'll
Like
try to explain.
it's just not nice, like to think that that's the
No.
bare minimum of what women deserve. I'm so
Mhm.
sure Fatima would have been yelling, using her hands, talking over everyone to protect Hamza Gul when necessary. And what did he
Yeah.
do? He was like, हो गया? एज के बारे में बात हो गया? हो गया? बस खत्म?
Yeah.
किसी और को कुछ बोलना है? हो गया? Like, bro,
I
what?
know. Looking back at it, it would have. So here's my thing with it. I feel like there's two things. One is that I feel like maybe Fatma didn't want to talk about it as much because she has been very loud and outspoken for herself when she needs to be. So why was she so silent? I feel like she just didn't want to add fuel to the fire when it came to her age. She just
Could
didn't
be.
want to and so maybe she had talked to him and they both agreed. But also it does track that that is how Hamza Gul addresses problems. He just doesn't care. The most outspoken he ever was for Uruj. Okay, so he didn't protect his partner. I think at the time it felt like the most adequate response. It felt like the most mature thing to do. But
Mm,
then they get eliminated, okay? And I liked how Hamza Gul was like, I hope I never see you guys again. You're all terrible people. He said it. You know, he talked about her age and he defended her enough on the that finale. But
mm-hmm,
then when they're brought back, what the hell, bro? Okay?
mm,
You don't want to stoop to their level. You don't want to
mm,
be an asshole to Shiraz and everyone. Okay, fine. But the biggest a-hole when it came to their coming back was Maz. You couldn't tell your friend, "Hey, shut up." That's all you had to say. You didn't say
mm,
a word. He kept saying, "वो तो दोस्त है, दोस्त दोस्त रहेगा." क्यों रहेगा? क्यों है? Like if you're saying that, oh, he messaged me, he said I would have done any the same for anybody. I would have defended Fatma even if she wasn't my partner. Okay, but you didn't defend her that well, and then when it came down to actually your friend harassing her, you didn't do anything. And like I really felt bad for Fatma when they came back too because Maz was so bad. And Maz ended up groveling and apologizing to her and their friends again. But it is for me, maybe I would forgive Maz, but having to watch that and relive it and people sending me clips of it, I don't know what type of friendship I would be able to have. Like, how can you ever possibly move on from that? Because he like literally drew her, right? He drew that
mm,
picture of her, and it was ugly, and he was making fun of her. Like, it wasn't just age; it was her. It was her
can,
skin. It was the way she looked. It was the way she walked, her mannerisms. They talked about everything. And people came after me that what's wrong with Lazawal Tea? How can she defend Fatma? I'm sorry, if we sat here and collectively addressed the bad shit Fatma did, fine, I'd be okay with her being going down like that. But the fact of the matter is, you talked about stuff that's like superficial bullshit that nobody
mm,
cares about, right? Like, okay, she lied about
yeah,
her age. So did Shiraz. Nobody seems up in arms about it. Okay, she's not conventionally attractive and which is wrong. Okay, she looks really good. If that's her, if she's I'm not talking about her age, but she looks good. Okay, maybe she doesn't not your version of beautiful, but you were all kissing her ass in the beginning of the show. You all wanted to be
mm,
with her. You were rejected by her multiple times. That's why those snot nosed, literally snot nosed Junaid and Peepaw had a problem with her because she rejected them and she called them out. At the end of the day, if we're gonna look at it like Fatma was a pick me, she wasn't a girl's girl, she was male centered, but at the same time she challenged misogyny in a way where she did challenge Shiraz and she did
mm,
till the end. And but the thing is, a woman's got to go down in a group of men like that. There's no way
mm,
that she's gonna have a fighting chance. And I think if we're gonna look at it, and the broader scheme of things, it was wrong. And I still stand by that today. Okay, I still stand by every edit I made in support of Fatma because I don't think that someone deserves to be abused honestly for their appearance and she took it really well like when she came back and got
she
to watch
did.
the footage. It was a hard watch for me. I can imagine how it would be, how I just try to think if that were me, what I would be feeling.
I think two things that are very noteworthy in my mind are number one, Maaz, even though him and Tuba at present don't talk anymore, he would ride or die for Tuba. Like मेरा partner को कौन भी torture नहीं कर सकता, torture, torture, torture. Like this word would not leave his mouth. And then you have Hamza Gul, who's like, he does not even care. And the second thing that really was on my mind was how Fatima. left the villa on her own. He's her partner is there hugging it up. You
Yeah,
know, like, oh my God, bro, yeah, let's see
yeah.
each other, bro, bro,
And
bro, bro, bro.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're
And
carrying him and shit.
she just leaves alone. And it's
Yeah, I
sad.
hated that.
Like no
I really hated.
solidarity. Like
Yeah,
bhai,
you
sathi
could have
chal
at least,
lete.
yeah, walk out with her. What the hell is wrong with you?
It's so rude. So
That's
rude.
not what you want in a partner. And you bring up how Maaz was with Tuba. That's what you want in a partner. If you're looking for, obviously how he treated her in real life, that's not what you want. But how he treated her on the show, how Hamza Abbasi treated Aruj on the show, that's what you fucking want. Okay?
Yes,
You don't want
100%.
this Hamza Gul bullshit. You don't want a Shiraz. You don't want a Jannat. Those guys suck.
One
Um,
thing I do want to say is we never really understood the full depth of Hamza Gul and Fatima's relationship because production had to show us the most random fights. Like they were arguing and we would have like no idea what they're arguing about because the day before they were completely fine.
hmm
So like we
yeah,
we we didn't know what was their relationship like. We just saw them plotting and scheming and talking
yeah,
shit.
I know, and it's I don't know. I think that I can't even say that they were faking it because I feel like with Fatima, and this goes to say this is what I have to say about pretty much majority of the cast is that all the girls had somewhat real feelings.
Mm,
They all understood that this was fake, aside from Liba. She didn't understand that this wasn't real. She she took it as a real thing, unfortunately. But I think that with Fatma, with all of them, they all had real feelings and their partners didn't. And it's
yeah.
sad. It is sad to an extent. I feel for all of them. Um, but I'm gonna let you let you continue. What are your thoughts? I think most people agree.
I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, a woman is just gonna be softer than a man, and for a woman to be in a confined space with a man, you just somewhat give in, and then we can take a look at Shiraz and Batul, which is the perfect example for this because Batul initially was not interested in Shiraz at all. But, because of the fact that they made it such a big deal to swap partners, and I think I remember in one of the earlier episodes, Rouge was yelling at Batul, like, "वो कोशिश कर रहा है, वो कोशिश कर रहा है." And like, people pressuring you to like be open-minded, to try. Batul lost the light in her eyes and she was just listening to this man and he is a manipulator, him and his point of views. He was a master manipulator. He constantly tried to change Batul. And I have just recently broken up, and what I have learned is honestly, if a man wants certain things in a woman, like ऐसे कपड़े ना पहनो, ऐसे ना करो, like submissive बन जाओ, then you should go find a village lady who will do that. Don't
Yeah,
find a model, an actress, a city girl to do all that for
exactly.
you. What in the world? So, and Shiraz had it throughout the whole show, incredibly aggressive to all the women, Laiba, Fatima, Jannat, probably even Iman, he kind of yelled at her like because
He did.
last few episodes. So, Shiraz and Batul is the very um classic case of you're together for the sake of being together.
Yeah, and here's the thing when it comes to Batul and Shiraz's relationship, I didn't really talk about Batul a whole bunch just because I felt like she was just kind of there. She was trying to make it to the
Mm.
end.
And she's
But
so pretty. I thought Batul was so pretty.
way too pretty for him.
She had such nice dressing sense, and this
She
fucking
was.
Sid the sloth would like come and say, "ये क्या पहन रही हो? ये मुझे नहीं पसंद." And Aisha
Mm-mm.
Omar, instead of like shutting it down, she was like, अच्छा,
Yeah.
okay,
My God, you
ooh."
can't even get me started on Ayesha Omar. What a giant nothing burger she was. But with Batul, you know how I just said that I think most of the girls had serious feelings and the guys didn't. I think
Yeah,
it's the opposite with Batul and Shiraz. I think she knew from the get go. I just gotta ride it out with this guy till the end, but there ain't nothing happening outside. And he did have real feelings for her.
it
He
was not
did
worth
feel,
it. It was not
yeah,
worth it.
no,
And
she was never gonna.
the fact that she cried and the fact that she changed her clothes, I do believe that there
Mm.
was Stockholm syndrome over there. It was not love, but it was like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, I think that there was definitely like some pressure, like, okay, I just gotta appease this guy because we can't fight. The few times that they did fight, like he was like, remember when he was like under ka janwar, the Akna moment came from that when she was literally like, okay, like she was kind of like speaking up for herself, and when she saw
Mm,
like, okay, it doesn't matter how much I'm gonna speak up for this myself. This guy is unhinged. He's willing to break up over this, and I might not get the bag in the end. I
yeah.
think allegedly that was what happened, that she just continued to go on with it, but she didn't find him attractive, okay? Then he has two kids, he's divorced, and he's not like, I always say this about him. No offense to Shiraz, or no, take a lot of offense, but na shakal na surat, and you have a beautiful girl like Batul. If you held her on a pedestal and treated her right, then maybe she would have even considered it. Because in the beginning, I think most people did kind of like Shiraz in the beginning. He was likable,
Mm,
his story is interesting. But what happened was is that he just ended up being a major asshole, and there's no way that being like that you're gonna be able to, I don't know what to say, survive. That relationship isn't gonna survive.
I mean, Shiraz has come out and said that her family was the one that pulled her away when they came out of the house. So you believe that she doesn't have feelings. That's fair. I believe there
Yeah,
was something there because they did meet once
they
outside
did
of the
meet.
show, but I think after that her family was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And then they pulled her back. And that's
I
something
think
he
so.
said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good theory as well. That they were still meeting up outside, and you can see that there's some of his podcasts came out where it was filmed very early on, but they were aired recently, where he's talking
Mm,
about like marriage and things like that. So she did talk to him about those things, and then
mm,
maybe as the episodes came out, and she didn't like Shiraz from the beginning. Nobody wanted to be partnered with him, so her family's obviously not going to approve of him. And as the episodes went on, she just started distancing herself from the show and completely ghosted him. And it might have been because, yeah, her sisters and her family were like, "The fuck, no, you're not
mm,
marrying this guy, okay? You're better than that. And look how horrible he is to you. Look how he's treating you." And sometimes, like on the show, you know, Rouge is like, "The man se nahi karna chahiye tha uske saath. The man se nahi karna." She's always taking his side, so you
mm,
kind of, you're being gaslit by your partner, and then you're being gaslit by the girls that you trust. Every which way you look, everyone's telling you that you're wrong. So when you get out, the entire world that's watching is telling you, no, you weren't wrong, you were right. And then your
mm,
family, the most important people to you, tell you you're right, and he's a horrible, terrible person, and stay away from him.
mm,
So I think at the end of the day, whatever happened, I'm happy for Batul. I'm really happy she ghosted him. It sucks that she didn't get a single vote to win the show, but that was a beautiful moment. And again, this was a
mm,
lost opportunity by production by not putting it on the focus on Shiraz's face every time that they barely showed his reaction, and I wanted to see a reaction from him. Shoot.
mm.
I watched the last episode just for that. I didn't watch anything else. I skipped to the end just to see how he was going to react. But
Yeah,
it's still good that he didn't get any votes.
and just to like quickly wrap up on this topic, we also know that Batul was married before, or I'm not sure if she was married, but she was with another guy who was super controlling, who wouldn't even let her like train with a male trainer. So I think
Oh.
her family was probably like, "Girl, why are you doing this again?" you
Yeah, I
know.
don't know. I didn't know about that. Did they talk about it on the show? I probably just missed it from there.
She did mention it on the show. I just don't remember what she said verbatim, but I do
Mhm.
remember like there was a she said that there was a guy who really liked her, but he was like super controlling, wouldn't want her to leave the house, and he would complain to her dad like, why is she training with like this trainer, blah blah. So, I mean, sh poor girl was probably having like flashbacks
Mhm.
of her previous relationship. And one thing that I remember a lot about Batul is the fact that she sat down and she was like, "Oh, Fatima बहुत strong है ना, बहुत strong है, उसने बहुत सह लिया." And everybody like इतना बड़ा issue बना लिया. She just said her intention was women should be strong. Women need
Hmm.
to take things on the chin. That's what she said. And they all made like such a big deal out of it. And I forgot exactly what they said, but you know, just they were all just shitting on women all the damn time.
Yeah, dude, I kind of stopped. I really did too. Now, almost at that point where all that shit happened with Fatima too. I did watch those episodes for the most part, but I did skip. I had a
Mm-hmm.
tendency to skip a lot of Batool and Sheeraz scenes as well. It was hard to
Yeah.
like listen to Batool because I know that the girl has awareness. I could feel like she did understand what was happening is wrong, but she just couldn't do anything like meaningful about it
Yeah.
without
I get
putting a
what you
target on
mean.
her own ass.
So moving on to, well, moving from Deer in the Headlights, Batul, we're gonna move on to Rouge being abusive all the freaking time. It's so funny because like Rouge is like telling Batul, wo bahut koshish kar raha hai, like why aren't you giving me a chance? And this woman is literally like yelling at Hamza Abbasi all the time, like, girl, shut the hell up.
Her partner was too good for her. I felt that. So I liked Aruj and Hamza together, but from the very beginning, the signs were there, right? She
Mm,
would complain about him not getting up early enough to do their laundry. Um, she would complain that he didn't do the dishes. There was all this stuff that if the roles were reversed and if Hamza would say it to Aruj, people would be really upset. Which people were upset because guess who did say those things? Omer, Maaz, they're all talking about effort. So there was like this discourse about this subject. But a lot of people overlooked Aruj's behavior with Hamza. It was really, really bad and he just took it. He just took it. And honestly, I know that a lot of people think like those who yearn earn. I don't know if you've heard of that, but I don't
no.
think that this is one of those situations where like he's a simp and it's cute and whatever. I think this is just like a toxic relationship and it's becoming abusive and it's wrong.
Do
We need
you
to call it
think
out.
do you think it's a case of pretty privilege? Because visually, she is very pretty. Not when she opens her
Yeah,
mouth. I'm sorry, but
yeah,
visually,
no,
she
she
is
is pretty.
pretty.
She's beautiful. Yeah, she's really, really pretty.
And
And
a lot of the
yeah,
guys I do
I
think liked her. Like Hamza Gul
yeah,
also liked her when he came. So
mhm,
do you think that played a fact in people
I
not
definitely do.
really?
And one time I did a whole voiceover where I talked about this. I just never posted it. I thought it was too long. But it was a long video where I talked about Aruj and it does double down to two things. It's the fact that yeah, she does have pretty privilege. All the guys wanted her. And then
Mm,
another thing is that her partner is a green flag. Not only is he just like super nice to her and he's very fair and kind with her, a little too kind, too fair with her, where he's unfair with himself, but he's also very respected in the house. It's not just like the guys are, they're pining and simping for Rouge. It's not just that. It's the fact that they are also very respectful of Hamza Basti. Like that
mm,
man was gonna win this show. In the end, we'll talk about it when we get to the end. But the fact that
mm,
he didn't win was another thing. But he was gonna win based on the
mm,
respect that he had in the show. And that was the two things that I felt like for Aruj that were protecting her. Definitely being pretty and everybody wanting her, and then Hamza just being like someone who was very protective of Aruj. Like nothing could ever touch her or come near her. With her whole fight with Mir Hamza and Memuna, Aruj was wrong. Aruj was blatantly saying, like, "मैं मारूंगी," when she said that,
Mm,
she was gonna hit Memuna, you and then Hamza protected her fully, and he's like, "वो उस बात पे नहीं हो रही थी, हम उस बात पे नहीं कर रहे थे." And Aruj comes out and says, "नहीं, मैं बात कर रही थी, मैं बोला था कि मैं मारूंगी और मैं मारूंगी." So there was just, I think those are the things that were protecting Aruj, and made it had her go to the end. But we'll talk about it when we get there. But those things were also her downfall. Her being an awful person was the downfall for her and Hamza.
and I do feel like s- it was so weird, but she seemed to get along with everyone in her own little way, even though she was
She did.
psychotic.
She did. It's kind of like being manipulative. She was never
Mm,
outright against Jannat, but she didn't like Jannat. Like
mm,
you could see her saying it here and there. She would say things about Jannat. She'd antagonize Hamza over his friendship with Jannat, but she would talk to Jannat and pretend to be her friend. So it's just
mm,
being like sneaky, trying not to get. But in the end, she made my enemies. She said some shit, and I think it cost her the win. And some of the contestants came out and talked about it. One sec.
no worries.
All right. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts about Aru?
I think she's very beautiful, but when she opened her mouth, it was like a gutter pouring out.
Yeah.
And honestly, what she did after the show, she just kind of gives me the ick, to be honest. But she's a bully. She was a bully on the show. She was a bully after the show, and
Yeah.
that is quite relevant because there were a lot of bully groups in the
Mhm.
show. Like it started off with Fatima, Maaz, what's her face? Tuba. I forgot.
Mhm.
Tuba and Hamza Gul. This was the first bully group. And then the
Yeah.
second bully group was Aisha,
Mhm.
Junaid, Rouge, and Maaz.
Shiraz.
Shiraz, yeah. And then the third bully group was these people, but with the addition of Iman
Yes.
and Tabassum.
Yeah.
And honestly, like you people are like almost 30. ना तमीज है ना कोई like etiquette है आप
Yeah.
कैसे कर सकते हो like how can you isolate someone like because I have been in those situations where I have been isolated by family members तो मुझे
Mhm.
वो feeling आती है like when Jannat is was sitting alone even when Tuba was sitting alone I was like oh my god is she okay
Yeah.
how can you guys just gather around like mohalle ki auntie ki jaise and talk about someone in such close proximity. Sometimes, like, people would be talking shit and then the person is like right behind them. And I'm just like, आवाज नहीं आ रही इनको
I know.
बहुत बहुत बदतमीज लोग थे बहुत बदतमीज
I know. It was really triggering to watch. I
yes
think like and a lot of people, so many people would DM me. Like there was a girl that was pregnant, and she was really going through it. Like this girl was like, my friends are telling me to take my comments down. I never comment on anything, but I have to talk, and I just cannot believe that Aisha Omar didn't do anything. And she sent me like tons of voice notes as well, just ranting about the show. And
mm,
there was one, and that girl, I hope she's okay because obviously I don't have the account anymore, so I have no way. I hope she has a really safe and a good delivery, and hope her and her baby are healthy and they're well, and she has a great recovery because she was going through it because of this show. And there was a girl who messaged me. She didn't like me at first because obviously I didn't like Fatma, and then when all the stuff went down with Fatma, she talked to me in depth about her traumas, and
Mm,
basically how she's like, I look a little bit like Fatma, and I just feel like no one will ever find me attractive, and my mother look like Fatma, and I look like my mother, and my dad was so abusive, and she died, and I just hated her my whole life because I
oh
look
my
like her,
God.
but now I miss her. Insane trauma. And
Oh
she
my
would
God.
like literally cry about Fatma and for Fatma. I got that girl in touch with Fatma too. I don't know if, they were able to have a meaningful conversation or anything like that, but
Mm,
I was like, "Hey, this girl's your number one fan, and she's been that way since the get." Uh, but a lot of people had so much, so like I personally felt the trauma that, Jannat was going through. Like I really empathize with that because at some point in my life I've had a man yell at me horribly, a grown man, and I was in my early 20s, and I had someone who was like 40 yell at me in front of my family. Not my family, my in-laws, and my in-laws didn't do shit about it. And so I carried that trauma. Like literally it was triggering to watch Jannat be yelled at by Maaz on, especially the night of the jacket thing, and no one do anything about it. That's
mm,
the thing to me, that why didn't anyone do anything about it? It triggered
mm.
me enough to create an account, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking call them out on it. But they did a lot. A lot of people have felt a lot of because all of these are real world issues.
Is Maz constantly protecting his partner from torture? Torture. My
Torture.
fingers. बार बार टॉर्चर लाइक उसका ये अल्फाज ना उसके मुंह से जाता ही नहीं था टॉर्चर 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 लाइक ब्रो what were you doing like calm down
Just a little side note. Somebody was when I came back on a new account, somebody messaged Sheza. I don't know if you've seen Sheza. She's a super
yeah
awesome girl. But
mm-hmm.
someone messaged her, "We are not gonna follow her. She
Oh
tortured Mamuna." And she spelt it like torture, like with a CH.
oh my
Torture!
god. One thing is, like, I'll give Moss props. He defended his partner. There were moments where he also treated her like crap. But, like, when it really came down to it, he protected her, and that's all that
I thought he
matters.
was a good,
No,
yeah,
yeah,
thought he was a good partner. I
yeah,
didn't, and I actually liked Maz. I wish he'd had a different partner. I think he would have
same.
had a much, if he stuck with Jannat, shoot, he could have won.
They were a cute young
They
couple.
were.
I don't know why he had to. I mean, I think it was because of her skin color that he broke up with her.
I've heard that too, but it's all
Yeah,
alleged. I don't know. We don't know for
okay,
sure. Oz never actually spoke about her skin color publicly, so there's no way. I think Janet might have mentioned it, but I didn't watch her interview or anything to know about it
right.
properly.
And then, but then, like Maz has his good moments, and I feel like he's a very go lucky guy, and that is why he's kind of the glue that holds the house together. And
Yeah,
everybody really likes him. He's always in the middle of absolutely everything. Chamcha banta phirta hai.
I think you have the correct analysis about Maz, even in real life, when it comes to this cast, is that okay, here's my thing. People are going to hate me for saying this, but what he did on the show was just him faking it. Okay, like maybe he's kind of a feisty guy and he gets mad. He gets a little
Mm,
extreme at times, but he was playing it up a lot for the camera.
mm,
In real life, he's actually not bad. I think he might be my favorite guy from the show. I don't know if I
okay.
should say that because no, seriously, it's I have a lot of before it was like Hamza Gul and Mir Hamza. Mir Hamza is a decent person, and I think he's the best out of the for what he did on the show. But there's some things about him that I find sus. Whereas Ma's like I don't know. All my interactions with him have been respectful. When people are attacking him, he's not like going viciously at them back. I think he has misogynistic tendencies, but they all do. What can we do? I mean,
Yeah,
the group of people we're talking about, especially the men. The bar is so far in hell.
Yeah, I
I don't
think
know
I
what
don't
bar.
blame you for liking him. I just think the bar is very low. Ko'y standard
Yeah.
niya.
No,
But
yeah.
on the topic of Maz, he was the one who said, like, what did he say? Women hygiene ab nahi karte, ab hygiene ka
Oh,
ख्याल nahi karte. Oh my God.
dude, you know
Mm.
what? I actually should ask him about that because that's what it comes down to. You're claiming that you're faking it all, but how do you explain stuff like that? Even if you're faking it, why couldn't you fake something nice? Why you gotta fake like the most awful shit? The things that don't even make sense. Like, baat kya ho rahi hai and what are you saying?
Mm.
Hygiene ke bare mein. Ridiculous. Especially when the boys, we saw their room. Maybe
Dirty.
we got some
Disgusting.
funny videos. Maybe they're offhand videos of Jannat, but they still exist where he's like picking his nose and he's rolling his boogers up and his earwax up and he's putting them on his sleeve. Like, that stuff all happened. So we don't want to bring up hygiene. That was my last edit and it was such a good one.
I think what it is that these people come from a society that doesn't hold them accountable for the things they say. Where they're from, ये सब बातें करना, बेइज्जती करना, औरत को नीचे दिखाना, this is very normal. This is probably like their day-to-day thing, you know? But then
Mhm.
they completely forget that people are gonna watch this.
Mhm.
And that's the reason why like I don't really give Maz a pass. I think like yeah, maybe you were acting, maybe you were hyping yourself up, but like, man, itna common sense honi chahiye where you be like, abhi mujhe bus karna hai. You know, like chill
Yeah.
out. And he didn't.
Yeah.
He just kind of
I
acted
agree.
like the big man all the time.
I agree. And here's the thing with me is like, I'd see Maz's interactions online, and I don't think he's a terrible person, but then I'd watch him on the show, and I'd be like, like so angry. And then at a
Mm,
certain point, it's like, he kind of for a short minute, he kind of gained sympathy from everybody. They were saying,
girl,
free Maz, free our short king from Tuba, but he just he just couldn't
girl,
do it. You had to stick with that, and he didn't. So,
he used his charismatic charm on you. I can see that. That's
oh my
mm-hmm,
god,
mm-hmm.
no, 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 no. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get a lot of shit for it, but I don't know. Just talking to him in person, like I talked to him about the Liba situation, and I think that he was being fair. A lot of people were saying he's performative, but he was instrumental in the beginning. Although he didn't do shit, but he did try. He did
Mm-hmm.
try a lot to help her, and he did say that it was wrong and everything that's happening is wrong. And then when the show ended, he ended up on a good note. He tagged Jannat in his post. He did to me say it a lot that he's extremely regretful for how he acted on the show. Even when it came to Jannat, he said it to me. But and he was saying it to people, and I guess in his head that it was public enough, but he never made a public statement or apology to Jannat, which I think is due.
Personally,
Overdue.
if it is overdue, I think just take the L and move on.
Yeah.
And Jannat gives, I mean, her name is Mannat now, but she gives me the vibe that she doesn't really want to be involved with anyone from the show. So for you to publicly tag her, low-key gives me the vibe that he's trying to pressure her into a response.
Possible.
Is too little, too late. Take
Mhm.
your L, move on, learn from it. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We should all
Yeah.
be given learning opportunities, no matter if we're 20, 30, 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I don't know what they because one thing that's kind of interesting to me is that Tuba and Miles were convinced that if we kept watching, we would have a difference in opinion. So I don't know
mm,
what type of edit they were expecting, and then that they got this type of edit, but you didn't get an edit. Like what you did was shown. It's not that they, portrayed Tuba to be some horrible villain. You did do those things. You are a villain.
100%,
You're
100%.
continuing to be horrible online.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what else happened. Because I feel like we got whatever they filmed. We got to see it. Because sometimes I can understand you got a bad edit. I can get that because it happens in reality TV. Like on Love Island, certain people get bad edits, but you take in mind the fact that they are filmed around the clock and we only see like an hour or so of that, right? One Love
Mm,
Island episode. These people, they are filmed. This is the thing. One day is split up into 3 days. Before each time they film, they meet up with production. There's a meeting that's like an hour or something, 2 hours long. I don't know how long it was, where they discuss what they're going to do. After that, they film. Then they cut. Then they discuss again the next episode what they're going to film. They film, cut. It happens 3 times in a day. So they know what they're doing. They're being filmed. One episode is one day is 3 episodes, and each episode is like almost 2 hours long. So you can't claim that you got a bad edit. It is what it is. You did what you did. You can't use that here. This is that one
yeah.
reality show where you can't claim that you got a bad edit. You did what you did.
Yeah. Because to be very honest, they got filmed like a lot. For them to
Yeah.
split filming into 3 episodes was kind of crazy. But on that note of like saying people know exactly what they're doing, we had Iman come in as a late bombshell, I guess, if you can call it that. So she came in and she was actually, I liked her. I don't believe she looked like what she looked like on her in her photos, but I
Mhm.
liked her vibe. She seemed very chill, not really
Yeah.
interested in the cliques. But she went
Yeah.
from a green flag to a red flag.
And then she ended on kind of a green flag. No, I don't know. Um, that's the thing with Iman is I don't think that she's a terrible person. I think there's a certain word that is used for Iman, which I'm going to use in a second, but that is what completely describes Iman, and she's all about the clout. Um,
Wild Chaser.
she,
We saw it
yeah,
off the show. We see
yeah,
it on the show.
on the show,
Mm,
yeah,
mm, mm,
it's like
mm.
the her wanting to be a part of a clique. That's just her being a cloud chaser, right? She was
Mm,
bored on the show. She tried to pair up with Usher, it didn't work out. Um, she moved on to the next only option. It was only gonna ever be with the Bussum, right? Which it could have been
mm.
a cute couple. They could have had if they were smart, they could have done something with that. But obviously, that guy's not a good person
Mhm.
either. All right, or I don't know. You can't comment on if they're a good person or not. I didn't even watch those episodes enough, but
He was
he
definitely a misogynist.
he was.
He had very backwards thinking, and him
Did.
and Iman were never going to work out. She is blingy blingy, Miss Dubai, Moe, Shandon, and he is Punjab, village se aayi hu, Angrezi na bol, Pindi boy,
I
like
know. You
whatever
know,
they say.
you brought up Dubai, and I saw this meme that I thought of that was totally for Iman, and it was like, it said something like, "You look like you would enjoy Dubai in a bad way." Like, take offense to that, and that's how I feel about Iman. Like, clout chaser the max. She did it on the show, right? She was bored. She kept saying she was bored. She thinks it's all cringe. But then she ended up doing the same shit everybody else was doing, right? She didn't like
Mm,
how Rouge was acting and she had discernment that this was wrong, but then she joined forces with the Rouge. Um, she went against Mamuna. She talked about Mamuna's eyes, that they're creepy or whatever the fuck. Like, it was all wrong. Then how
mm,
she acted online, this is some tea. You want some tea right now?
yeah,
I told you this, Julia. I told you
fill the
that this is
chai.
the chai. Here's some spilling the chai right now. Uh, Iman was the very first person to reach out to me that she wants to do a live together, and I told her yes, But I had some people, and I'm gonna name drop them. Nuggets. Nuggets told me don't do it. Right? She's a clout chaser. It was really fresh when Iman made her entry, and I liked her. And Nuggets was like, there's just something off about her. Like, I wouldn't say do it right now. You know, if she wants to come on, she can come on, but don't like give her like any dedicated time or anything. And so I we never got around to it, but Iman did periodically ask me about lives. And then when my opinion switched on her, she switched on me and she thought that I was falling under peer pressure. I'm not like you. I didn't fall under any peer pressure. I have some controversial opinions and I own them, okay? But
Mm,
I did think that she was wrong. I did think she said a lot of problematic things. I'm sorry that you didn't like them, Iman, but it is what it is. And then Iman at one point again was joining my. Here's the thing: everybody asks about the Mir Hamza live. What happened to the Mir Hamza live? I never posted the Mir Hamza live, and because I felt it was really disrespectful to Mir Hamza, honestly. I
mm,
felt like that guy deserved his it was his time when it was Iman or Liba's time to come on the live on After Hours. You didn't see Mir Hamza interrogating and leaving, shady comments in there. Which I don't know if you want to talk about Mir Hamza and all of that whole situation with Mabuna because Iman, but the point that I'm making is that Iman was saying and stirring shit in the comments on that, so I never
mm,
shared that live. But suddenly, Iman gets a good edit, and guess where she's appearing in Lazawal Tea's live, right?
mm,
She was hidden for weeks, didn't come on my live. Then suddenly she's there. Then like 2 3 days later, I leave Instagram. I'm gone, and she leaves this horrible story up for me saying
mm,
like this is what happens, this is why people don't like people hate paparazzi. Hey, nobody hated me, okay? And I'm still dealing with my account situation, but no one mass reported me, nobody hacked me. That fake Lazawal Tea account is lying as well. I
I
don't
mean,
even, I'm still dealing with it.
I think in the case of Iman, clout chasers gonna clout chase, and you can't trust anyone who edits their photos to that degree. It's like
Yeah,
what catfishing at this point, and we are not gonna give Miss Clout Chaser any more of our breath.
nope.
We will
Moving
talk.
on.
We will talk slightly about Mir Hamza, mainly because we don't really want to talk about his partner because she caused a lot of issues, unfortunately, for
Yeah.
LT, and it's just not worth it. But in the case of Mir Hamza, it's pretty simple. He's a nice guy. If he if he's bad or not, I don't know. I don't really care. But on the show, he was a nice man. He stood up for his partner when it mattered. Even when he was on the live, he was very polite, and people were extremely rude to him. It's unfortunate. And I mean, he was just pretty normal. He was just playing the game. That's pretty much it. He was never
Yeah.
really in any drama, I would say. He's just vibing.
Yeah. It's unfair that his partner, who agreed that they are going to, what was the word that they constantly used?
Perform.
Perform. They both agreed that they're going to perform, right? So what
Yeah.
happened? He performed, it ended. Um, Allegedly, she caught feelings. There was a live that she had where she admitted to the fact that he did claim that he did have feelings or whatever, but he didn't, and then he cut things
Yeah.
off. And I think that it was a situation where again his partner ended up catching real feelings, and to him it wasn't that serious. Maybe they
Mm,
might have done something or allegedly shared or expressed feelings or something, but it wasn't real. Maybe he's just an F boy. But you know who's also an F boy? Omer. Okay, I always bring the situation back up. That guy dragged Liba for weeks on Instagram before she spoke up. Mir Hamza never once said that to his partner.
mm.
I'll die
And
on that hill.
and Mir, he did go through a lot. Things about his personal life were talked about. His mom,
Yeah,
his personal choices of doing a condom ad. If anything, the more condoms, the better in Pakistan. I don't know what the big deal was about that. I think he had a rough time on the show. He had a rough time after the show.
Yeah, I
You know,
mean
I
the
hope
thing,
he's doing okay. I'm praying for him.
yeah, the show too. Like, well, he was just defending his partner all the time, and that's why people
Yeah,
hated him. And then look what his partner ends up doing to him outside, like calling
awful.
him dumb and shit. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Very
I kind
true.
of looked over it because I thought it was like just like a language barrier or something's being lost in communication, but nope. She meant that he's dumb. She meant that his brain is dumb. So it is what it is. Time to stop making excuses for people. The reality is what they're seeing is what they mean.
I'm here. I'll put you on the right path. Don't worry.
Yes.
I'm here. The I Chutiya is
Dude,
here.
this
Proof.
whole thing was very eye-opening for me, and
Mm,
the criticism I've received for having personal relationships, which I didn't think they were personal relationships. I thought that I was being fair and kind. I don't need to be fair and kind.
yeah. I
That's not
think
me.
I think what you need to remember is okay, if you're a T spelling page, that's
Hmm.
your goal. Your goal is not to be friends with anyone. Your goal is not to, you know, promote their story. That's not your job.
Exactly.
Your job
Yeah.
is to spill the chai, and you got to
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah, I remember it now. And
Y-
the thing is, like, well, the only thing I could say with Lazawal Tea is I never had any like real goal in mind. I literally looked up on ChatGPT what are some good names that I could create for this account that I'm making where I'm going to make edits about the show. And it
Mm,
gave me a list and I picked Lazawal Tea from that list. But it wasn't this whole thought out thing. So I had no idea what I was doing with the account.
mm, fair.
Going forward, I absolutely do have an idea of what I'm going to do.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
maybe I think Maaz was not a terrible person, but I've moved on from it. And yeah, we're not in communication. We're not. I mean, and I'm not talking. I'm not going to be speaking to any of them because
Mm,
they are not good people. I can
mm.
say that
Good job.
just
I'm
from
proud
my
of
own
you.
personal experience. Yeah, no, they're not good people.
So moving on to a lighter note. Well, I
Yes.
don't really know if it is a lighter note, but I find it funny. But so the kitchen and the house politics. So they were constantly eating nuggies. I think Tuba said
Mhm.
nuggies, nuggets, chicken nuggets,
Yucky
and bread, like all the damn time. They were
and
always
egg.
eating eggs,
Yeah.
nuggets, and I mean, I don't know if this is confirmed, but apparently there wasn't ever enough food in the house. And
So
yeah,
yeah, here's the thing. We have a certain cast member who was quite chatty at the end, who talked about it in a video she posted where she was like, production gave us the right amount of food. Our Pakistani people just like to eat too much. Turkish people don't. And I found that to be an absolutely disgusting comment to make, okay? However much people want to eat, they can eat, right?
mm,
They're allowed to eat whatever they want, and it's production's job to feed them. When you take a look at a show like Love Island, they are eating a ton of eggs, they're eating avocado toast, they're eating healthy food and they're eating copious amounts of it. These
mm,
people were not being given decent food, okay? The food was like bland food, so the cast decided to make their own food. They were not being given enough groceries. There was no one to advocate for them. Uh, I
right.
think it was an intentional tactic to starve them. I'm sorry, maybe this chick, this cast member who had this contestant who had a lot to say, maybe you don't eat that much food and maybe that's okay for you, but some of them are grown men who need to eat. Some of them are
They
girls who want to eat. It's okay.
they did have a translator because the production was like mostly Turkish.
Turkish.
I think
They're all
there was only like one producer from Pakistan. I think his name is
yeah.
Hamza Asif.
Oh, I saw
Um,
that.
And then there was a translator, but then something happened to the translator. The translator would eat food with them, right?
There were multiple translators, but there was one that the cast had formed like a good bond with him because he like would speak up for them and ask for things for them that the other translators just didn't care. They were just translating. So
Mm.
this was the one translator that actually cared, and then there was some conflict with one of the cast members, and she did get him fired. She denies it, but she was instrumental in him being fired, allegedly.
No,
I don't know
she
what to
did
say
not
about that.
deny it. She said, I got him fired. I complained about him to production and I got him
She was
fired.
like, in the live that I had with her, she was like, "Oh, उसका तो पहले से चीजें चल रही थी," and so he was already gonna get
Mm,
fired. But I'm sorry, girl. Also, the whole story is that she touched his face, okay?
yes.
And she's trying to pass it off as like, we were friends, we were like friendly. He shouldn't have been friendly with me. And then, like, excuse me, you're not allowed to touch somebody's face, you know?
Mm,
That's their
yeah.
boundary. They don't have to let you, if they're telling you don't touch my face, and you don't have to touch his face.
So
And then you don't need to get
essentially,
upset about it.
yes, you're right. So essentially, this woman took away their only advocate in the house.
Yeah, basically.
And yeah, so, that's why they were probably always eating nuggies and eggies and breadies and
Yeah,
chai.
also, this is like an actual tactic by production in reality TV, not specifically this show, but older reality television shows will do this where they will not feed their cast because it gets them angry, gets them antsy, and then they're more prone to fighting and creating drama.
Mm,
But I think that we have evolved as a society and for like advocating for reality TV stars that they deserve like basic human treatment
mm,
and food and water and all those things is basic human treatment. You know, here's the thing that's interesting because I think about Love Island as well. There are some things in there that I think that's a violation of a human right. I don't know if you know this, but in Love Island, that's a gigantic villa, okay? Bigger than the
mm-hmm.
Lazawal Ishq one. They share one toilet, all those
Ew.
boys and girls, and it is disgusting. And they do it so that you don't feel like going to the bathroom that much, so you continue to film.
Ew.
And you're mic'd up while you're in the bathroom. There's one shower. The shower is disgusting, and all boys and girls share it. So
Ew.
it is it's and when the Love Island cast is woken up in the morning, they're literally being woken up to loud ass music to just and they would only get like 2 hours of sleep and they wake up in the morning and to really loud music to get them angry and they would fight. So these are tactics, but food, thankfully, now Love Island cast, they do say that, okay, we do get like good proper meals, we get nutritional meals, and there's no shortage of food. I think with the
Mm,
Lazawal Ishq, there's a lot of tactics being. I don't think that this is. Here's my thing. I don't know if production is smart enough to use it as a tactic, or they're just being cheap and they're just not getting them groceries, or they're just not being like professional, or they're being lazy. That's what I think. Because like, what do you mean? Like, you can see Jannat like being like, दूध खत्म हो रहा है. The hell, दूध खत्म हो रहा है. चाय ऐसे मत पिए. Like that's crazy.
from what I understood is that they actually did their own shopping.
Yeah, so that's the thing too is that if you wanted something specifically, you could ask them to, but I think it's also really hard for you to get those things like chocolates and stuff like that. It's not easy for you to just like, oh, can you get me this thing? And then the groceries, I don't know how it worked, but I saw somebody saying in their defense, like I talked about it briefly, they were like, well, they had money, they were getting paid every single week, they could have bought. It is not their responsibility to buy food
Mm,
for themselves or
I
groceries.
agree. I
That
agree.
is production's responsibility. And you know
Yeah.
what? To talk about production and how shit they were, you're supposed to give your cast rest days. These people filmed for 40 plus days and they did not have a single rest day. That's insane. You are supposed to give them a break. So I think Hamza Abbasi was talking about this on the live. For the
Mm-hmm.
amount of work that they had, the amount of hours they worked, they were not being paid an adequate amount. And I agree with that.
I agree too. Um, that's just production being awful and not being considerate. And it also shows Because I don't know if that's the case on the other shows for Lazawal Ishq, or was it only for the Pakistani cast? Because you did mention earlier that
Yeah,
you feel like there
I
was some racism going on.
I have no idea. It's something to look into. Although I just don't think I think it's just done and gone, and I don't think we've tried to hold people accountable, and I think we've gotten to a certain extent where yeah, there's been pressure put on the cast, but there wasn't anything done about production, and they just said that we're never going to work with Pakistanis because they're so unprofessional. All
Easy
right,
way
well, you were
out.
also, yeah, you production, you were also unprofessional,
Mm,
okay? And whatever it is, however much you want to shit on Pakistani people, Lazawal Ishq it was watched, right? People did
mm,
watch it. People did enjoy it, whatever you want to call it. They were hate watching or whatever. Pakistanis created that for you. And also, it's kind of insane for me for them to say that Pakistani cast is insane because I don't know if you saw that video of like the Arabic version.
I
And
did.
yeah, they're literally throwing like glass bottles at each other and like
Yeah.
pulling hair and stuff. You never saw that on Lazawal Ishq.
Mm. So, whilst we're on this topic of food, and I totally agree with all of your points, by the way, the
Mhm.
men never made their own breakfast, and they constantly would ask the women to cook. And, this was kind of like a sign of showing your loyalty. And if like the woman didn't do it, like they would kind of get bitched at? So
And
what do you think of this?
I thought it was horrible. Obviously, like on Love, I always bring it back to Love Island because that's what we can directly relate this show to. But
Mm,
on Love Island, the men are the ones making the breakfast for the girls while they do their makeup. Whereas on Lazawal Ishq, they get up, they shower, they make breakfast for their guy, and they go up and look pretty for him, and then they come down. And if they don't do that properly, like Mamuna wasn't doing it properly enough, she's not making enough effort. It's all one-sided. And is it not one-sided when the girl is consistently making breakfast for you? That's
right,
one-sided too.
right.
It's just misogyny and double standards.
I agree.
That's all
And
it is.
they never nominated a girl to be the house leader either, which
No.
number one, I don't really understand what the big deal was about being a house leader. I mean, you're literally in the same house. You guys are not doing jack shit apart from
Yeah.
like some shitty games. But anytime somebody would get nominated as the house leader, they would treat it like it's some big achievement, बहुत बड़ी कामयाबी की. Like, do you remember Tuba being the assistant and then fighting with Laiba?
Yeah.
Like, she said to Laiba, तुम मेरी friend zone में थी. Like, I don't think she
Yeah.
understands what friend zone means.
Live friend zone. Live friend zone. I was like, okay, dude, Tubisms.
The Tubaism.
Tubism.
Yeah, so I
Um,
mean, do you have any thoughts on like the girls never being house leaders? I don't think personally don't think it's a big deal. I don't think they were doing shit anyway. But yeah.
I think that a girl did deserve to be a house leader, and it would have been interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Because also another thing is, I feel like the house leader stuff was behind the scenes where they would do games and stuff. Because Laiba
Okay.
was like once saying, कि, "Oh, Maaz की leadership में हमें बहुत अच्छी चीजें करने को मिली थी. Like we got to see a lot of cool stuff." But like
Oh,
I didn't see that.
same.
I think they were once playing that game, and then Tuba had that massive jacket fight. They were playing a game, but they were probably playing games and doing cool stuff that was being organized off screen.
Right.
Um, I think I think that in terms of the leadership role, house leader, I think it's again misogyny, and they proved
Right.
it that women can't have leadership roles like that. And then the helper role was, yeah, I always say this is a glorified maid. Um, you're just there to assist people in cooking and making sure everybody gets their chai or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing that I could see about house leader I would be really really wanting that as a thing is to save yourself from elimination. But even that, the rules are super unclear because production is a clusterfuck of
Oh,
not
we will
knowing
get to
what's
that.
going on.
We will get to
Yeah,
that. Gosh, we will production. We will get to you, don't worry. So
yeah.
now moving on to some technical disasters. So, there was like bad English, there were shitty games, Aisha's headache. So we'll start out with something easy. Aisha barking all the time. Like, okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to say barking, but this woman, she seemed like she had so much sense after Jannat left. She was standing up for her, yada yada yada. But then
Mhm.
she was yelling, I think, after Memuna had a heart attack because
Heart
Memuna said
attack.
goodbye. Panic attack. Because Memuna didn't like flinch Fatima off of her skin, like, like a bug. And she was just yelling and screaming, like, girl, how hard is it to just mind your own business?
Yeah, that whole thing was she was annoying. Like I really liked Aisha in the beginning.
Mm,
I thought that she was reasonable and stuff, and she always said right things. And then when she had like the migraine, shivers, and all that shit, headaches, all that depression, will get those kubichariko, over Tuba's like one comment, which I believe her. I believe Aisha
mm,
that maybe Tuba was being rude because Tuba is rude.
mm.
But Aisha, girl, go to the doctor, man. Those are a lot of symptoms. If you feel them on a regular basis, girl, go get that shit
डिप्रेशन हो
checked
रही है
out.
मुझे डिप्रेशन हो रही है
Dude, the shivers, the migraine, the insomnia. Girl couldn't sleep all night. I'm like, go to the doctor. Call medic, please. Aisha's having a million and one symptoms. We
like
call a
Tuba.
medic for Tuba. Why couldn't we call medic for Aisha? Right?
Oh my
It's
god.
because she wasn't actively passing out. Which that was top tier comedy on Tuba's end. I loved Tuba on that episode. It was
Oh my god.
hilarious.
Tuba actually gave us some of the best English slang on the show. Do you have your top three like
Oh
English
my
moments
god.
from the show? Top
Dude,
three?
I don't even know because I think the number one thing with Tuba is that she makes everything plural. Happenings, laughters, what is it, whisperings. Like anything
Huggies,
will huggies dito.
nuggies,
Like
cuties.
everything turns into like a plural form of whatever word she's trying to say. Congrats.
On
I
karo.
never, I never on Kudo. There were so many moments where Tuba just really made me like actually laugh. Congrats was, it's hard to laugh too, because it's like she's done so many horrible things, but then she'll be like having a serious conversation with somebody, and she's just like, what did she say to Liba? Friend zone
कि अब
Liba. I thought we
मैं जो
were
आपको
friend zone
फ्रेंड जोन
Liba.
लाइबा
It's
समझ रही हूँ,
like,
Secondary.
बेसिकली आप वो लाइबा है ही
Secondary.
नहीं.
Firstly.
yeah,
Secondary.
thirsty, secondary. Oh, the list could go on and on with Tuba.
She gives me Cardi B vibes, with like how unhinged and random she is.
Do not do Cardi B dirty like that, but
Mm-hmm.
I see what you mean.
Oh my God. I will say that I wish the cast didn't feel like the need to talk in English so much. I did appreciate the person being like, उर्दू में बात करो अंग्रेजी में बात करो." क्योंकि
Mhm.
even as the viewers थोड़ा मुश्किल था to understand what was happening.
Yeah.
Laiba would be explaining, in broken English and broken Urdu, and I was just like, girl, like
I know.
I would have like anxiety listening to her because I
Yeah.
just didn't get it. Girl, just
There's
talk in one
yeah.
language.
Here's my thing with Liba. I see two sides to it. One, that I see that she taught herself English and she should keep practicing it to be better.
Mm,
But
mm,
on the other side of things, like you'll have like really serious subjects and like Liba isn't able to get her thought across because
exactly.
she's like switching between two languages and one that she's just not fluent in. So it's like in
Exactly.
certain moments where you have to defend yourself, like with her fight with Iman later in the show, where she's jealous, like it would have been more effective for you to just speak in Urdu. Also, like
Agree.
even online, when she talked about Shiraz's video with his daughter, um, the statement she made was in English, and a lot of people weren't really understanding what she's trying to say. I understood her, and I think that for the most part, you can understand.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Yeah, we were talking about Liba. Yeah, I definitely think that Liba, could speak in Urdu to get her point across better, at least in serious situations. If you're just having like normal conversation, okay, fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. And then on the topic of shitty English, we also had shitty games, which they
Ugh,
stopped playing towards the end of the season.
I
But
know.
oh my God, the games were absolutely horrible. The worst one, in my opinion, was the one where they had to keep jumping in and out of the square.
They look so tired, and I think like Jannat won that, right?
Yeah, she did.
And it was earned because she was like very like focused.
Mm-hmm.
She was really good at the games in general, but
Yeah, she was.
yeah,
If it
the
was
games were
me,
stupid. Hmm.
if it were me playing those games, I would honestly like give up on the first try. Like I would do it wrong just to be
Okay,
like, I'm
Tuba.
done.
Tuba, she didn't try in the games, and Maaz was getting so mad. So I'm saying, Maaz, you should have stuck with Jannat. She was good at the games. She cared. You guys look good together.
We'll never know why they broke up.
Tuba didn't do good in the games.
God.
I forget what she was even saying, but basically saying she's not athletic. But you don't have to be athletic to like walk with a boiled egg on a spoon in your mouth. Like any they the games were really easy. Like if you've watched Love Island games, that
Mm,
is a really good show, by the way, especially the
mm-hmm,
second season. Those are difficult games. And those people are super fit. The Love Island
mm-hmm.
cast is nothing like this. Like how Shiraz skips leg day. Love Island, no, they're actually like very very fit, healthy people. So those games were hard, but like, okay, Tuba, you can't do musical chairs, right? All right.
You know, to be honest, like those games, like if I were on the show, which I have set to production, put me on the show, I would be so embarrassed. I would be so embarrassed to do the dancing. I'd be so
Hmm.
embarrassed to do the games. I'd be so
Yeah,
embarrassed to do the proposals. Like I would
you
just be
know,
sitting in the corner
yeah,
doing
you
nothing.
know. I think about this a lot. Like, if I go on Love Island, and absolutely not. I couldn't do like the kissing and stuff like that they do on
Yes.
there, and
Yeah.
you have to do those. But I think I could go on Lazawal Ishq. The one thing that I couldn't do is the dancing, and I asked somebody, "Is like that necessary?" And they were like, "No, you don't have to dance. We just danced if we wanted to." So I just set that out. I'd set that part out. I should try for Lazawal Ishq.
Okay.
If they made a second season, although I'm married with 3 children, but I didn't
Do
stop other people.
do it for the vibes. Do it for the vibes.
I would
Um,
love to go on.
at this point, if our YouTube channel becomes a success, we can fund season 2 of Lazawal Ishq.
Yeah, come. Let's do it in Hong Kong.
Girl, is so expensive here.
Okay,
And
let's do it in Texas. It's cheap.
yes, let's do it in Texas.
Yeah.
Um, so, useless games, useless English, useless communication, and useless Ayesha Omar.
Hmm.
Cling,
Super
cling,
useless.
cling. Miss Ma'am was useless as hell. The thing is, she is a very liberal persona. People, you know, put her with freedom and women empowerment, all this. But genuinely, she was like a piece of bread, stale bread, not doing
I know.
anything on the show.
She didn't. And here's my thing, like, okay, fine, you were contractually obligated. She had an earpiece in her ear. She could
Mm,
only say what she was being fed.
mm.
I'll take it. What is stopping you right now from saying something?
Embarrassment.
Yeah, you just don't want to be associated with any of this stuff, but these are like these are your people, Pakistani people. They're in your industry. Maybe they are nothing burgers compared to you, but
Mm,
you can call it out and say that this is wrong, but you
I
just choose
agree.
not to because you're just performative and everything you say is fake. Which, by the way, here's some chai, spilling some
Ooh,
chai about
ooh,
Aisha Omar. A girl DM'd me who allegedly said this. She explained had this long story about how she was allegedly bullied by Miss Aisha Omar,
ooh,
and it was like really bad. Like her whole story was like I don't know, she was friends with them and she'd go to their here's the thing, I never talked about it because I don't know if it's true or not, but this girl's like Instagram, it kind of more or less led me to believe that it's a possibility. Um but she was basically saying like she was like slut shamed and bullied by Aisha Omer horribly in their community or society or whatever you want to call their industry. Oh, but
wow.
it
You gotta
makes
give
you
me the details on this later.
I know, girl. I wish I had that account because she sent me like lengthy paragraphs about Aisha Omar, this chick. So, but I'm
Okay.
not
We
surprised if it's true, but it's probably not true. You don't know.
we will get back to that level. Don't you worry. So I think Aisha, because people do, because I remember in one of your old lives, one of the last ones actually, there was a
Hmm.
girl who did come. I think she was from the UK, and she mentioned how Aisha Omar was just a host. There was not much she could do, but at the same time, she was the face of the
Hmm.
show. She probably got a lot of initial flack because she was the face of the show. Um, and she even had to be like, no, this is not a dating show. So when you're the face of the show, but you have like such little attachment to it, you might as well just not be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Exactly. And like that girl that I told you about who was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Her main rant was about Aisha Omar. She's like, she was in the house. How the hell did you not just come down and stop this shit from happening?
I
And I get
agree.
it, like that there are like boundaries, like there's a contract, there's things she can't do, but my whole thing that I always get back to is why is she not able to say anything now? Like all this stuff,
Mm.
the Jannat, Tuba stuff, Tuba's lives, like how, and then like literally Tuba has the audacity to say that, oh, we didn't give a shit about Aisha Omar, we didn't care about her at all, we never gave her any attention. She's allowed to say that, but you can't say anything about her.
So yeah, Aisha Omar sucks. Very unfortunate. But then, I think the entire industry is just like this, full of fakes. What can you do?
Yeah.
One another thing that sucked ass was the format, which didn't make sense. Hundreds of
Hmm.
finals and semifinals. कभी कौन जाता था, कभी कोई नहीं जाता था. Like,
Yeah, it never made sense from the very beginning because, in the first semifinal, Fatma was saved and Maaz was saved. Maaz coupled up with Tuba. And Fatma was just kind of chilling. I think that this really changed the way that the show was because
hmm
Fatma was just chilling. Like, she didn't care if she wasn't partnered because she was saved by the house leader. But then when the actual finale comes up, she's up for elimination along with Liba. And then
mm,
Liba gets eliminated but then gets saved. It like didn't make sense. So I think once people saw that Fatma wasn't saved, even though she was saved in the semifinal, but it didn't mean jack shit. All it did was that people who were partnered, they were never gonna leave their partner or explore other options because that just meant that they were gonna be on the chopping block.
I agree. And I think that because of the lack of structure, the contestants genuinely did not know what to do.
Mhm.
Because they're just like, well, what is happening? And I don't
Yeah.
believe production gave them any, intel, instruction, or we're changing the format. They just let them be headless chickens. And here it goes again. But this was obviously a propaganda to show how stupid Pakistani people are. Even though Fatima is not Pakistani, but like, like the way that they treated the
Mhm.
contestants is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't understand what the format was or how things worked or how the semifinal or finale worked. None of that shit made sense to me.
Hmm.
So, and to this day, it doesn't.
For me,
That was unclear.
what I
Hmm.
think, okay, because I saw this rumor, I'm not sure if you know, but basically when they would do these finals, semifinals, they wouldn't let the person leave because I don't know who said this, production wouldn't pay for their hotels.
Yeah, I heard about this. So that they were being kept there because they, I don't understand. Yeah, they just didn't want to pay for their hotel accommodations to leave early. Maybe their
Mm-hmm.
return tickets were already booked and it would cost them it costs, to make a change on your reservation and costs you to make a change. So
Mm,
maybe that's why they kept everybody around until the end so they can just leave at their
yeah,
return dates because it would
yeah,
have actually cost you would have to pay for them either to stay in a hotel or you would have to pay for their tickets to be changed.
yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like production, their budget was strained as well.
Mm. So speaking about the budget, because the finale had a 30K USD prize. So
Mhm.
now we can talk about the finale now. And
Yeah.
Junaid and Aisha ended up winning. So what the
Mhm.
hell? What's the tea on that? I know you have some
Yeah.
chai about that.
I do. So here's what happened. Allegedly, this comes from the cast. Allegedly, though, the way Junaid won was that he told everybody he needs the money. And he
Mm,
basically played everyone behind the scenes. He didn't do a single thing on camera. Like he was more or less okay. He had some shitty moments, but he wasn't that bad. But behind the scenes, he was playing big time, telling everybody he really, really, really needs the money. So everybody voted for him, and that's how he won. But also Iman and Liva came on live after the last episode, and they said people asked him like, why didn't you vote for Hamza and Aruj? And they said it was because Aruj was super mean. So towards the end, Aruj she became really really mean, especially to Liva. So that's why Liva didn't vote for her, and that's
mm,
why Hamza and Aruj didn't win. So poor Hamza lost because of Aruj. Um, so everybody kind of got their karma in the end, And the interesting thing about the prize money is that it hasn't been delivered yet. And
mm,
even Iman said it that if it gets delivered, if it gets sent,
mm.
there's always this big thing that they even the cast has their doubts that if they're even going to receive the money, which makes me think that might be why that Junaid is not even talking about winning the show.
He's
So
waiting for the money to hit the bank.
yeah,
Mm.
but
And
that's how he won. That's why people think that they played a big game or some shit. But yeah, he did. Okay, sure.
I mean,
But I don't think it was that big of a game.
the man doesn't work. Like all his stories are him going to shadis
Literally.
like crazy. So like the winning couple was not really a surprise, mainly because it was revealed a very, very long time
Long time.
ago.
I
So
know.
now we come to the point where we think about what happened after the show. So number one, no couples are together, and we discussed this earlier. It's because the boys were just playing. And, it was revealed after the show that most of them were engaged or married. And apparently Junaid is married, Shiraz, his two kids and his divorce, Fahad married, Shiraz, no, Asher, girlfriend. So they were all taken.
Yeah.
So no wonder that nobody stayed together. But I feel for the girls. So,
Mhm.
my heart goes out to them. Number two, I think this is a very important thing is Production and the international facade. I think production is not getting enough flack for the
Nope.
role that they played in this mess. They created a very unsafe environment for women, especially. And we don't know who the production company is. We don't know who's, it could very well be propaganda at this point. I'm a conspiracy theorist. It could be a propaganda to show how stupid we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be. Yeah. I don't know. Um, I don't know how deep I'm gonna go into that conspiracy, but it could be because just based off of like people's interactions with the cast, how is one person so, and even the other fairly white person, Fatma, was being utilized heavily by production, constantly having meetings with them, constantly having separate conversations with them. So they
Mm,
liked Fatma as well. So they liked two girls from the show, or I should say, two contestants from the show that were very fair skinned. But
mm-hmm.
that's obviously all alleged. We don't really, that's just kind of like an observation we've made. Um,
Exactly.
just a crazy fan theory that we have, if we can even
Yeah.
call ourselves fans.
We could call ourselves haters, hate fan.
Haters. Yeah.
And then, okay, and
Haters.
then big another big thing is production failures. So clearly not enough food was being provided, the lighting was poor, the formatting was awful, and it honestly seemed like they were just making things up
They
on the
were.
fly. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And even, you bring up poor lighting, poor audio as well. It's really, really hard when they're all talking over each other and fighting that what the hell is anybody even saying? You just
No
kind of
subtitles
observe. Yeah. No
and the
stuff.
frog.
Yeah. I
Burp,
just,
burp, burp.
once you're done, I really want to get into if they made a second season, what could be done differently.
Yeah, you go for it. Go for it.
So I really think, yeah, of course, subtitles would make it a little bit easier to understand, but also confessionals. A lot of the
Mm,
confusion, you don't even need subtitles. A lot of the confusion will go away from having confessionals where production is asking questions. Obviously, we don't hear the questions being said, but
mm,
you get to see her, Jannat talk about the jacket. I didn't wear his jacket. And then Maaz is saying, no, she did wear the jacket in the beginning when we were together. So a lot of the confusion and a lot of the things that was wrong with the show had to do with just like no clarity. Also being filmed. They needed to be filmed properly 24/7. There couldn't be any off camera stuff. We didn't even talk about the fact that they had their phones and they were exposed to outside people like the viewers' commentary. That changed the entire course of the show. If they
mm.
never learned about what people said about Fatma, they would never have turned on her.
I
That's
agree. I
literally
agree.
it. They
And
shouldn't have had access to their phones.
you know what they should do for season two?
Hmm.
You know what they should do? They should just hire us.
Yeah, they
That's what
should.
they need to do. Like they don't need to think they don't need to edit. We will do everything. Just fly us out to Turkey so we can do your job.
Yeah,
Wow. Like I can't
but
believe these are supposed professionals who think they're doing professional work and they won't hire me. Like, excuse me? Excuse me? I have been
hire
messaging
chirya.
them. I've
She's
been
the chirya
messaging
they
you
need.
guys on Instagram. And you have the
Nah,
audacity to not hire me after like this shit show?
dude, they don't give a shit. I messaged them about, like you need to speak on like what the hell, like if your contestant is self harming under your watch, you didn't do anything about it. You gotta take on. They don't give a shit.
They don't. They
And
don't.
all the that contestant brown nosing production, you look lame, girl. That production wasn't anything special.
And that is part of the reason why I do believe this is somewhat of a conspiracy, because what professional production company wouldn't take the time to address these issues?
Hmm.
There's something super shady going on. Maybe this was like a money laundering scheme or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard theories about that as well, but I don't know too much about it.
Mm. So we're almost at the end of our first podcast. one thing that we would like to touch before slowly wrapping up is the cast. I think all of them broke their NDAs, right?
They did. They had a 30-page contract, and I got to read some of that contract, which was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But they broke everything in it. So I don't understand what the repercussions are. I don't know what production is going to do about it. Because obviously thing they should be reprimanded, but I don't know how it works because they're a Turkish production. The cast is in Pakistan. All right, so here we are at the end.
Welcome to the Lazawal Ishq mock award show, the LMAO awards. So, these are the answers or my opinions, feel free to change. Who was the most stylish on the show?
I think it was a Rouge,
Mm,
definitely. I think so. I think also
yes,
Batool was really, really stylish as well.
I agree. Number two, the most likely to be Mohalla wala auntie.
You know what? I think this might be a Rouge, but I think
Oh,
Aisha
they're
also.
tied. They're tied.
There's that.
Okay. Number three, सबसे बड़ा सांप कौन है?
Shiraz.
I don't
Saab.
know because Junaid won,
Yeah.
but Shiraz did it, but for like what, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Junaid
I
and
guess
Shiraz tied.
it's amazing Shiraz. Yeah.
And then judgmental Khala at a wedding.
Hmm. Peepaw. Yeah,
People.
Shiraz.
See, I mean, honestly, all of them could, but
They
Shiraz,
all could be.
100%.
Yeah. Maaz could be too. Yeah.
Overacting ka dukaan.
Tuba. Woohoo. Yeah.
Her panic attack, or I don't know if it was a panic attack, but like when the medic came in, that was an Oscar-winning performance. Is the most zaliled.
Okay. I'm gonna think about this one. Hmm. I get there's so many of them. Mir Hamza, Memuna, they were
अच्छा
targeted
judges.
pretty heavily. Mir Hamza,
Yeah,
you
I
think
would say
so?
so, 100%.
Okay.
Next is Ullu ki patti.
I'm gonna let you take this one. I don't know.
Laiba. I'm so sorry,
You
Laiba.
think it's
You have amazing hair, but you are just a bit of an ullu. I'm so sorry. But I love your hair though. But you girl,
Nice hair.
you gotta
She
grow up.
gets yeah, she gets the best hair um award. You know, I'll say this side. If Liba hasn't learned by this point, there's no hope. But from what I see and what I hear from how she talks about everybody, she seems to be the most handled everything the most maturely in real life.
Okay, this is just on the show, Laiba, okay? On the show. Just
Yeah.
letting you know.
Yes,
Okay.
just the show.
And then next is Jahil Sasuma.
Rouge,
Yes. Next, Wannabe Sharif.
Tuba, or
और
Aisha.
कुत्ती ने किसी और बिल्ली
इनको
चूहे
what
ने
did she
किसी
say?
और नागिन चुरंगी की किसी
इनको अल्लाह नहीं नहीं देखना है. इनको ये
हम
मुसलमान नहीं.
अच्छे
अच्छे
मुसलमान नहीं है
मुसलमान नहीं है.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
But also Aisha too. Families क्या सोचेंगी? Families देख रही हैं. Oh my god.
Next is most dominant.
I hate to say Shiraz because I just hate that. The fact of the matter is,
तुमसे
he
ज्यादा
was
डोमिनेंट हूं मैं.
dominating.
He
And
was.
Aruj, most dominant, Aruj.
I feel like low-key dominant was Maz.
Mhm. Could be,
High-key
yeah.
dominant, Shiraz.
Yeah.
And last but not least, who is the small fart king?
I gotta think about this one. Yeah, this is our boy Junie.
You the shit,
Junaid.
bitch. You not even the
Oh, well,
I
And
I
be
guess
going
that's the end
hard.
of our
I'm
award
breaking their
show.
hearts.
yeah,
Like
oh my
bitches be
God.
quick, but I'm quicker.
It's
Bitches be
been
thick, but I'm
amazing
thicker.
to wrap up this chapter of our lives. I feel like
Hmm.
this was a major turning point in our Pakistani youth lives.
Yeah.
Any
Well,
last words?
let's see. What's the final verdict? What worked? Did anything work about this show? I think so. I thought that for whatever it was, people were watching. There were a
Mm,
million things wrong with production. It wasn't a well edited show. It wasn't well produced, but the cast was engaging enough to keep us going. I think everybody kind of stopped watching at episode 80. It's because the
mm,
show was way too long. The episodes were
mm.
too long. It didn't need to be 100 episodes. It needed to be 30, 40 episodes.
I agree. I agree. I think it worked in, well, I don't know if it worked or if it backfired, but now that maybe Pakistanis can see what type of, these are the type of shows that they can do,
Hmm.
and it potentially opens up a new avenue of entertainment. And this is not religious by any means. It's just entertainment, guys. Like, I think people should take it with a pinch of salt. हमारा like मुल्क में इससे ज्यादा बुरी चीजें हो रहे हैं. I don't think a reality show is gonna stand very high up on that totem pole.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show everyone's stopped talking about it. It's pretty much dead and gone now.
Yeah,
It's over.
exactly.
No one cared. But when the things were happening and the issues that were presented, those are real life societal issues that a lot of women and men have encountered. And so, obviously, call it out.
Mm,
It shouldn't be acceptable for anybody to act the way that these people have acted.
I agree. So, I mean, you started a T page, you grew to over 5,000 followers. I think, do you have any final words?
About my show, about the page was, I didn't think that it would be part of my life the way it was. I had a lot of fun on there. I connected with a ton of cool people. A lot of people hated me and they were converted into fans.
Mm,
Shout out to Gupshup. Shout out to Osama. These were Akia, all haters that were turned into, there was so many more. So it just, goes to show, like, if you try to be fair, people will notice that. But for the page itself, we spilled the chai right now on Instagram. You can check us out over there. We're gonna continue. We're gonna be talking about other shows. We're gonna have other segments. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And then once I can get my account, the Spill the Chai account, once we can get it up to a certain amount of followers, we'll be able to do lives and stuff on there again. And we are going to be, reviewing a show. Chirya, what's the show's name? It's a new show.
girl, I forgot, but it's the one with Yumna Zaidi and Hamza
Yumna
Suhail, right?
Zaidi. Yes, it is. So we're going to be reviewing that show, and we're going to give you our thoughts as Pakistanis that are outsiders. I love Hamza Sohail. Yumna Zaidi is kind of whatever, but I will watch anything with Hamza Sohail in it. And I love him. Um, in terms of the Lazawal Tea account, I know a lot of people want it back because of the memes. The memes are still on my TikTok account. You can watch it there, but I'm fighting the good fight to get that account back. I do want it back because it had a
Mm,
lot of interesting things on there. But keep supporting, guys, because that's how we can keep making things, keep doing stuff, keep talking about things. And if there's any shows that you want us to talk about, let us know
mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
Like if there's any reality show, like if Tamasha's gonna come back, we're gonna be there. We'll be there to talk about Tamasha.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. Any topics? If you're interested in not like biased takes, because we're not in Pakistan, if you're interested in neutral outsider point of view, definitely stay tuned.
Hmm.
And it would be amazing to continue to dive into the world of Pakistani pop culture.
Yeah, we've got a lot, and I think sometimes we don't I don't really see it out there, like people talking about things where it's not good. We're shifting away from tea. It's not going to be tea like that. We're here to give our opinions, our unsolicited opinions, and discuss and yap like we know how to do.
We're gonna put our big Pakistani noses where they belong.
Yes. Chirya, thank you so much because you know that you're instrumental in making all this happen. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't be here, honestly. I wouldn't
Mm,
be this lovely potato with a headset, and she wouldn't be here as this piece of bread. Seriously, she's been instrumental in everything, and she's super smart and super awesome and helpful. She's been great while I've been dealing with all this other stuff in the back too. So you're the realist.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you